bring your best every night. And if not, then you're probably going to find yourself out of the lineup.
Stan, just over here. I know you guys just put out the statement about Evander Kane. You've been talking about him, but can you say when exactly you came to the conclusion or the determination that he would be out for the remainder of the regular season? And can you describe just how much this has kind of factored into your decisions this year and how difficult it's been to kind of gauge his uncertainty?
Yeah, it's been hard for sure. Very recently, we finally, the goal all along was to try to give as much time as we could for our doctors and our staff to assess his readiness to return. Because some of the complicating factors with Evander is it's not like he has a broken bone where it's pretty obvious. You take an X-ray and you say, okay, it's healed or it's not healed, and the return to play is a little bit more concrete. This situation is different. He had very involved double surgery, and then he had the knee procedure in January, which was really a non. It wasn't like an injury per se. It was just something he had to get cleaned up. But it did set back sort of his training, because when you go through a big surgery like Evander did, there's a couple of phases to it. There's just getting back to doing regular things, and then you could progress that into start to heal and then train, and then now he's beyond all that. Like, he's doing well, but now you got to get into the performance side of it, where you've got to really ramp yourself up to be ready to play in an NHL game where the intensity is super high. So there's certain milestones you have to hit. Now that we know where we are and how much time is left, he's not going to be able to close that gap in that amount of time. So it's still not exactly known. It's not like we know he's going to be ready by this date. We just know he's not going to be ready by the end of the regular season, which is why it became clear that we had to, look at improving our team a different way, because he's not going to be coming back in that time period.
You've been working on kind of the two tracks all year, right? And
right.
When was the determination made that you could work with his money? Like,
just the last day. I mean, really, we made that decision, and that's why, fortunately, these trades that we were discussing didn't have to be executed last week, because if so, then we wouldn't have been able to. But some trades were made before, but we wouldn't have been able to do that because we didn't have the information. Now we waited as long as we could to where we said, like, we need an answer. Is he going to be ready or not?
And just one quick one on Trent Frederick. Do you have any idea when he can play? When are you expecting him to make his Oilers debut?
No, and we haven't talked about Trent a bit. I do want to talk about him because I think his game is going to translate really well to this, to our team and to the fans here. I think they're going to love watching Freddie play. I've only met him once, and he's got a great personality. He seems to love life. He's one of those guys that's upbeat, optimistic, fun to be around. And when the game starts, he plays to win. He's a very competitive guy. And I think he brings an element we just don't have. He's a lot to handle on the ice. He's a big guy. And he can score too. He can play center. So he's got that flexibility to play in the middle or play up the lineup on the wing. I think timing wise, it's a couple of weeks. I don't really know for sure. He's going to play certainly before April. I just don't know when that will be.
Stan, you make a couple trades leading up to deadline day today, but when you get here this morning, you got about $300,000 in cap space. You have a fair amount of no move and no trade clauses to deal with. You're on the LTIR situation. Did you find, obviously you would need other teams to take your money to make a deal happen. Did you find that you were just maybe too encumbered today to get done what you wanted to do?
No, I think with the cap, there's always ways of, having teams retain, like we did in Frederick's deal. We had him cut in half twice. So those are always options. I don't know if it's just trying to find the match of the player and how he's the right player with the right term left that matches up with what you have to offer that team. And some teams aren't looking for prospects. Some teams want a player back, and we're not really in that mode of having a roster player to be. We're trying to add to our group, not really do lateral trades. So some teams we weren't a match for just because our group didn't line up with their group. We were in on a few things with players that ended up going to other teams, and we couldn't have made that trade because they had a player that was expendable that we didn't. So it's always a match of, do you have what the other team is looking for, and then are you willing to pay the price? So there's a couple different reasons deals don't happen. So I don't think we were handicapped by that. I mean, it's just a challenge. Sure, we didn't have an unlimited budget, but at the same time, I was cognizant of not trying to bring in too many new players. Like, I think that is a fair question, is how many bodies are too many to try to integrate with your group and find that chemistry. You don't want to spend too much time just trying out all kinds of new combinations. You're trying to win games and you're trying to prepare yourself for the playoffs.
Along those lines.
Well, there you go. That's Stan Bowman. We'll have more of that. We'll take a quick update. We'll return with the Gregor Show here on Sports 1440.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
Your furnace can die in the blink of an eye, usually on the coldest night. So why take that chance this winter? Furnace Family, ATCO's newest home service company, can help. Not sure of your furnace's condition? We can check it for free with the purchase of a new furnace, giving you peace of mind and total comfort all winter long. Daikin offers lifetime warranty on their furnace heat exchangers. It could be the last furnace you ever buy. So call Furnace Family Home Services by ATCO today. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night, FurnaceFamily.com.
Attention drivers, it's the Midwinter Tire Clearance Sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Hey, it's Andrew Walker, host of the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, which you can check out before all the games this season. A big thank you to Cross Mitsubishi for their support. We are Sports 1440, Edmonton sports leader.
First of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. If you love the taste of beer or spirits but don't want a hangover, we have a great selection of non-alcoholic beers, spirits, and wines. Stop in and try some. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, welcome to the Jason Gregor Show. How are you doing? It's official. Trade deadline 2025 has come and gone. The Edmonton Oilers didn't make any trades today, But of course, they have 3 new players that they've acquired this week. Of course, the first one played last night, got an assist in his first game. I thought Max Jones in limited minutes was pretty good. Trent Frederick, you just heard from Stan Bowman a few weeks. They expect him to be back before April. So he'll be playing sometime in March. Doesn't sound like he's going to be playing on this upcoming 4-game road trip, though. Jake Walman, I would expect to be in the lineup tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers. But we'll see. Now, he is Canadian, so he doesn't have to worry about having to get a work visa or anything different like that. That's the advantage. Sometimes if you acquire players, Americans, European, it can take a while. We've seen some take up to like 10 days. So that's an advantage for Walman to get right in and jump into and play and be good to go. So we'll see where that goes. I firmly will get your thoughts at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our email inbox. I said it when we talk winners or losers, every team thinks that the additions they made are going to help their team, and they might help their team, but they can't all help their team to the point that they're going to get that they're going to win playoff rounds. It's just not going to happen, right? Toronto made some big moves. Florida made some big moves. Tampa made some big moves. Well, 2 of those teams are going to go head-to-head in the first round, and one of them is going to lose. Winnipeg, Colorado, Dallas all made some trades. Winnipeg, now not as big, but they added Shen on defense. They added Tanev up front. They didn't get the center they were looking for. Colorado, of course, made quite a few additions late last night. They got Brock Nelson. The little one is Eric Johnson. They made lots of other trades today. Dallas, of course, obviously with the biggest addition. Who doesn't want to see a Dallas-Colorado matchup now? Which it looks like it's a collision course. That's what's, to me, the most intriguing. If you look, because Dallas is 6 points back of the Jets. So, not completely out of the realms of possibility to gain 6 points, plus they have a game in hand. So, you could make an argument that maybe they're only 4 back. So gaining 4 points over a 19-game period isn't that crazy. Minnesota and Colorado are tied in points. And, Colorado's won 4 in a row. They just made their team better. Minnesota didn't really add anything of significance. So, yeah, I think Colorado and Dallas right now, there's a really good chance that they could meet in the first round. Now, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, I think they improved their Jake Walman. I really believe Oiler fans are going to be like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Trent Frederick, when he gets in the lineup on a team, and I wrote it earlier this week, the Oilers were the softest team physically in the National Hockey League by a significant margin. They didn't have guys who could alter the game unless they scored points, because they weren't going to be physical. They weren't going to be chirpy. Like, what were they going to do? Right? They had too many, and I've said it for months. They have too many of the same guys, just a different name on the back of their jersey. Not overly big, not overly physical, not overly fast. Now, some guys a little bit more of a shooter. One guy's maybe a passer. Somebody's a penalty killer, but whatever. They're all very similar. Well, now Frederick comes in. When he's in, he's physical. You saw Jones last night. I ask Oiler fans, did you notice Max Jones was in the game? Big body, can skate. Physical. Like, you noticed him. He only played 10.5 minutes, but you noticed him. How many games, if I would have asked you, name 2 shifts where you noticed this guy? Name 1. You'd be like, didn't really notice him. And they had too many of those guys. So when Frederick comes in, and Jones and Kane, now I don't know if there's room for all 3 of them in the lineup. There might be. Somebody can play the right wing. Because there's way more depth on the left wing. Nugent Hopkins, Frederick, Kane, Max Jones, Matthias Janmark, Jeff Skinner. On the right side, you got Hyman. I'd probably have Corey Perry number 2 right now. Then you've got Arvidsson, Connor Brown. Now, if they're all playing, you'd be like, oh, that's not bad. But Victor Arvidsson is still trying to find his game. Really hasn't, I don't even know if he's had a stretch of 3 or 4 games in a row where you'd be like, hey, man, Victor Arvidsson's coming on, like starting to see him. Okay, this is the player that you thought they signed. Honestly, I haven't seen it all year. So the Oilers, I think, improved their team. But most importantly for Edmonton, Vegas didn't. and LA added Kuzmenko. I'm not like that. That doesn't move the needle for me. I don't know about you, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440, if that moves the needle at all for you. It is the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It's Positive Friday. And you know what? At PlayAlberta.ca, every Friday, your opportunity to get your tickets to Lotto Max. $25 million tonight. Good luck. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Connor Halley is here. Cons, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We saw the Vegas Golden Knights tweeting out there with 10 minutes left. I think we were all thinking, okay, what are they going to do? But you're right. I mean, this division is within grabs. The Golden Knights didn't go out there and make a huge move. LA Kings, surprisingly, we're going to have Daryl Evans on in a couple minutes here to talk about, I guess, their lack of moves and what their plan is down the stretch here. But the Edmonton Oilers, I like what they did. I'm not going to hate on any of the moves. We talked about Max Jones yesterday. Like, what does he have to do to get a positive grade from you? I simply said, I just want to hear his name. I want to notice him. Well, he got a point, a terrific feat getting the puck to Corey Perry. And, we saw him try some dangles out there, saw him running around. So to hear you say only 10 minutes of ice time, that's really encouraging. Letting it be known. First game, I'm sure he was buzzing a little bit. We'll see if that continues. But all in all, for the Oilers, didn't go, I guess, big game hunting on some of the big names some of the fans would have liked. But overall, they definitely are a better team today than they were last week.
Oh, without question they are, right? So is LA that much better? Is Vegas that much better? I look at Edmonton and I'll say it. Edmonton and Washington, to me, are the two big winners after trade deadline. Edmonton improved their team, but most importantly, Vegas and LA in their division did. I know Winnipeg improved. I know Dallas improved a lot. I know Colorado improved. But Edmonton doesn't have to face any of those teams until the third round, if they make it, right? So and by then, who knows who's healthy? Like, there's so many factors at play at that point. But Colorado and Dallas, like, look at who they added, man. Are you kidding me? Like, Charlie Coyle is now in Colorado. They've got Brock Nelson. Those are two pretty big additions up front. Well, even Jimmy Vesey on a lesser note, right? Because they got him in the Ryan Lindgren trade. Like, they made significant additions, not just today, but just this week. Dallas, hey, they get Rantanen, and they only lost off of their roster Stan Bowman, right? They gave up 2 first-round picks. Okay, but their actual team today isn't bad. Now, they're also playing right now without their best defenseman. But word is he's supposed to be ready for the postseason. Some guys can jump in. He hasn't been out all year. It's not Evander Kane where the guy's been out 10 months. So, man, I'm telling you, Dallas, Colorado, that's the first-round series I want to see. I want to see that, and I want to see Tampa and Florida. Those are the 2 first-round series. If I got to pick, that's what I would like to pick. Hey, Greg, do you think the Oilers are better than last season from Craig? Craig, it's a really good question. So let's go through down who they had that's not here. Like, we know, okay, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent, Hopkins, they're all here. Henrique, Brown, Janmark, they're here. Corey Perry's here. So Arvidsson wasn't here. Frederick wasn't here. Jones wasn't here. Podkolzin wasn't here. Kapanen wasn't here. And the guys who are gone are now Holloway, Fogle, Derek Ryan, and Ryan McLeod. So, like, they haven't really placed McLeod's speed fair. I think Trent Frederick can be just as good as Warren Fogle was. Easily. Probably maybe better. I look at on defense, they're Desharnais, Ceci are out. Walman is in and Emerson is in. I think if Jake Walman plays the level that you want, sure. Now, Broberg did come in later, right? But they didn't play early, right? He didn't come in until what game was it against Dallas? I can't remember. Was it game 5? Was it game 6, 4, 5? Might have been game 5. I can't remember. He scored that goal in Dallas, right? Maybe that was even early. Maybe it's game 2 in Dallas now that I think about it. But either way, he was pretty good. But I think Jake Walman can easily be as good as it was game 4. Okay. He can be easily as good as Broberg was. And probably better than Broberg was the last year in the playoffs. Right? Better than Ceci. So I think they're better on the back end. Now, the goaltenders, the same goalies. Now, if we get Stuart Skinner from November to January, yeah, I have no problem with it. Stuart Skinner has shown an ability to bounce back. Unfortunately, he's also shown an ability to struggle. So the good news is he can bounce back from his struggles. The bad news is he still shows the struggles. And you know what? If you have one bad game, okay, but it can't become multiple in a row. And that's what he's going to have to try to avoid down the stretch. Up front, I'll say this. When Kane is healthy and Frederick's healthy, I like the makeup of this forward group better than the makeup of last year's forward group. Because I think, like, had Kane been healthy against Florida, could he have scored one key goal? Maybe he would have scored a goal in Game 7. Right? He's lots more skilled than other guys. If he's fully healthy, they might have won the cup, honestly. Could he have scored you one goal in Game 7? He might have. Could have made a play. So it's a really good question. I think they might be. They got a little bit more experience too, for sure. And Greg, I'm not sure what Vegas could improve on. They're loaded. Well, so if Vegas is loaded and they're 4 points ahead of the Oilers, and Edmonton just added Walman, and they're going to have Frederick coming, they just added Jones, and they might have Kane in the playoffs. Well, doesn't that mean they close the gap? Right? Like, if Vegas is loaded and everyone's concerned in Edmonton, like, Vegas has given up, 4 fewer goals, 5-on-5 all year? Like, if they're loaded, how are the Oilers not loaded? That would be my question to anybody out there. Hey, Greg, you're right. Colorado and Dallas forced to make the big moves. Tampa and Florida, too. Even Toronto, they went out and got Brandon Carlo. Like, hey, man, that's like, think about that. 2 of those 3 teams, just like in the Central, they're going to be out. If not in the first round, definitely in the second round. It's just how it is. So that's what makes it hard, man. That's what makes it hard. Hey, Gregor, do you think the guys got enough to beat out one of the teams in the Central and get back to the Cup? Chris in Kitchener. Well, thanks for listening in Kitchener, Chris. Well, I do. I like Edmonton. Edmonton, I thought handled Dallas pretty well last year. Right now, they just got Mikko Rantanen, and that's obviously a huge addition. No question in my mind. But Edmonton's got some pretty good players. And here's the thing that I know people might not, are they going to be like, what are you talking about? The Oilers today. Now, the challenge is going to be Connor McDavid was unbelievable in the playoffs last year, right? 40 points, crazy. Can he be that good again? Maybe. I would hope that some other guys will produce so he doesn't have to be. But he's capable of it. And you heard Chris Knobloch the other day basically say in his statement how he's told McDavid, you know what, in the regular season, I don't need you to be as physical. And if you look at Connor's hits, it matches it. Last year, he had 4.69 hits per 60. He's down to 1.6 this year in the regular season. That's like a significant drop. It's like a 66% drop. So, like, would anybody be surprised if McDavid dialed it back up? I don't think so. So that's the advantage. Any series you go into and you have McDavid and Draisaitl, you can't tell me the Oilers can't compete. Doesn't guarantee they'll win. Sometimes you need a lot of breaks, a lucky bounce, an unlucky bounce. Lots can happen. But I wouldn't go into any series saying Edmonton has no chance. I would be surprised by that. So, who do you think they're going to partner for the defenseman? I'd like to see Walman in the top 4. I don't see how it happens, though, because he shoots left from Stu Lou. Well, I think you'll see him tomorrow night, Stu, in the top 4, because that come I don't think is going to play. But it's a very fair question. It's a good problem to have. So you have Walman, you have Kulak, you have Nurse. Like, I won't be surprised if Walman and Kulak are both taking some time on right side on defense. And I think you're going to see Evan Bouchard have a slight reduction in some 5-on-5 minutes. He's obviously still going to play the power play. But with 5 good defensemen now, you don't have to play Bouchard that much. And that actually might be better. Right? Because, I know it sounds crazy, but if a guy goes from 23 minutes a night down to 21 and a half, you just feel a little bit fresher. Sometimes it can benefit you. Now, if Evan Bouchard gets back to the level he played at last postseason, well, then he's playing a ton of minutes. Let's call a spade here. He was great in the playoffs last year. You can't even the most staunch, I don't like Bouchard fan, You'd be a fool if you tried to claim that Bouchard wasn't outstanding in the playoffs last year. So you know what he's capable of. Now, it's hard to do that year after year, just like it's hard to be a 100-point player consecutively. That's why some guys do it once in their career, maybe twice. Look at Sidney Crosby. How many 100-point seasons does Sidney Crosby have compared to how many seasons he didn't have 100 points? Now, does that make him not a good player? No. It just shows you how damn hard it is to be at an elite level every year. Sometimes there's injuries. Sometimes, you know what, there's different factors that come into play, right? Like Sid scored 100 points in 4 of his first 5 years. He would have scored in the 5th, but he got injured. Right? Then, of course, he got injured for a bit, so that takes it out. Then he came back in 14, got 100 points again. Then he was 84, then 85, then 89, then 89. Oh, then 100 points again. Right? Then 47 in the shortened season. Then 62 in the short year. But then he had 84, 93, 94. And this year he's on pace to score 90 points again. And he's 37. So, elite player. So I don't think, like Bouchard, they're not going to break a record again next year in the playoffs, I wouldn't think. But could he score 25? I think so. Hey, Gregor, Vegas is loaded. They have a huge defense and play a style that can win in the playoffs. To me, they're the clear favorites in our division from Northside. Sam, they're good, but Edmonton, I'd love to see it again. I'll say that. I would love to see a series with Vegas. Probably not going to happen until the second round. I don't see somehow LA passing both of them. So I'd like to see it. I think Vegas is good. I don't think Vegas is clear head and shoulders better than Edmonton. I just don't see it. Hey, guys, I'm shocked Jeff Skinner's still an Oiler. I guess we'll see how he's deployed and probably asking him to waive. Well, it doesn't matter waive what now. Like, there's nothing to waive. He's not going to waive to go to the minors, right? So he's going to be on the roster. It's expanded rosters now. The Oilers have lots of space. They can call up a few other guys if they wanted, right? So they have lots of room to maneuver there. But Jeff Skinner, you know what? It's probably going to be a frustrating 6 weeks for him. Because just based on recent play, he's not going to play very much. And I think when you add Trent Frederick into the mix, his odds of playing will go down even lower unless some guys get injured. That's just like, I just have to look at the actions. I don't care what anybody says. I just look at the actions and look at how many times Jeff Skinner is not playing. What does he mean scratched? I think he's been scratched 9 times, maybe 10 since the start of January. So now we can debate if you like the decision or not. That's a total different. I'm not debating whether he should have played or not. I'm only looking at, did he play or did he not play? That's all I'm looking at. And guess what? The coach who has the decision, his opinion is what matters. Not mine, not Connor's, not even our listeners. You can not like Knobloch. That's fine. But guess what? Not happening. It's actually 8 games he's been scratched out of 25. So that's a third of the games. And that was before Frederick and before Jones. Right? Jones came in for 1 game. Boom. He's in. So, yeah, it's too bad for Jeff Skinner, but unless Jeff Skinner is going to get a chance with Leon Draisaitl, I just don't see how he's going to make an impact in your bottom 6 regularly. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Look at what other teams did. We're in win now, Mo. You're saying how he improved. Bringing up a guy who played 10 minutes a night. It's embarrassing. From Carts 18. Hey, Scott, guess what? First of all, I don't drink Kool-Aid. Number one. If you want to say you disagree, try to be an adult about it. Just a thought. Second of all, did Vegas improve today? Yes or no? Were you paying attention? Tell me who they added. Did LA improve today? Who cares about the other teams? Who cares if Florida, Tampa, and Toronto all improved? Only one of them is getting through. Only one. Right? Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, only one. And Edmonton doesn't have to face that one until the third round. And by then, so much can change or happen. Injuries, right? Like, who you added today only helps if they're healthy come the third round of the playoffs. That's just a fact. Now, the Oilers might be banged up, right? Like, remember the year they faced Colorado in the third round? Leon Draisaitl was playing on one leg. Darnell Nurse was playing on one arm. Guess what? They couldn't compete. Now, even if they were fully healthy, they probably wouldn't have won, I don't think. But they couldn't compete. So I don't worry. All I worry about is LA and Vegas. That's who you have to focus on because that's the first 2 rounds. After that, they don't know if it's Winnipeg. You don't know if it's Colorado. You don't know if it's Dallas. You don't really know. So Edmonton did improve this week significantly. Trent Frederick's a big addition. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, Jones played better than some of the guys who have been here. That's called an improvement. I'm not sure why this is hard to understand. He made more of an impact in his limited minutes than the other guys who've been here for 60 freaking games. So that makes your team better. This isn't hard. Now wait till you see Trent Frederick. He'll make their team better. Jake Walman comes in. He'll make their team better. And then you get to the playoffs and Evander Kane comes in. He can make your team better. So there's 4 guys. If they all make your team 2, 3, 4% better, well, now all of a sudden you're 10% better. It's a pretty good problem. Hey, guys, if Skinner doesn't play one game in the Cup, would he get his name on the Cup? That would be ironic from Scott. Well, he has played over 40 regular season games. So the rule is you play over 40, well, I think it's 41 regular season games, or you play one game in the Stanley Cup final, and then you can get your name. Now, there are ways you can get exceptions because let's say, somebody on your team played 40 regular season games or 39 regular season games. As a big part got hurt, didn't play, being on your team for 8 years. You can get there are exceptions that a team can ask for. And then they and trust me, they don't take it and just, Bob thinks that Peter's a really good guy, so we're going to put his name on it. No, that's not how it works. So Skinner's already played 53 games, so he would definitely do it. So, hey guys, if they go on a long run, they will need to worry about those teams that improve. The Oilers need to do more to keep up. Terrible take once again from Jesse. Well, Jesse is Jesse's our text. He's the leader in terrible takes. So I'm honored that he claims mine is terrible. The Oilers did improve. Suggesting that the Oilers didn't improve, to me, is quite comical. Jake Walman is a legit top 4 defenseman. Legit. How is that not an improvement? Like, what are you guys watching? Trent Frederick, solid player. Is Trent Frederick, is Brad Marchand clearly that much better today than Trent Frederick when they're both in? When you look at the element, does Florida need more rat? I think they got a lot of it. Right? They got a lot of it. Edmonton needed it. They had none of it. So when you look at a team and how you improve your team, like Brad Marchand, he'll be motivated to go into Florida. I'm very curious to see where he plays in Florida. But Brad Marchand's not the addition. It's the Seth Jones addition. I said it all along. When they got Seth Jones, that's a huge move. Huge move for them. Great. But like anything, you can't worry about 3rd and 4th rounds until you get there. All you worry about is the first round. And the team that the Oilers are going to play in the first round, they didn't get any better. I don't think Kuzmenko really makes LA any better. Now, Edmonton might face Minnesota if they win the division. Did Minnesota get any better? Did they improve more than Edmonton did? Because we don't even know who's going to win the other rounds. Heck, Edmonton might not win their first round. You don't know. But to me, the minute you start trying to compare and say, well, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. First of all, most times at the trade deadline, teams that get anointed, great addition, doesn't really work for them. So Florida, will it work? We'll see. Toronto, everybody, there's lots of pressure in Toronto. And the funny part about Toronto, all their additions are nice, but if their big dogs don't show up, it ain't going to matter. Right? It's not going to matter. So, and that's why, to me, Edmonton still in the playoffs, as it showed last year, when you have big dogs, you can fight. And you can be, is there a team that has 2 bigger big dogs in the Oilers? There isn't. And that's their advantage. And Bowman went out and improved their team depth significantly. People who still want to complain about the goaltenders, the ones who complain about goalies have yet to come up with one realistic option, right? It's the most hollow complaint. Which goalie got traded today? Mrazek. Now, if you think Mrazek's your big addition to your team, okay, great. I would disagree with you. Any other goal? John Gibson, you know where he is? He's hurt again. So which goalie were you going to get that was this obvious upgrade? Please just answer the question once. I dare you. All the people that complain, they can never actually say the goalie they wanted. That's realistic. Don't say Hellebuck. Don't say Vasilevsky. Don't say Sorokin. Say a realistic option. And by the way, Binnington was never a realistic option because St. Louis wanted the moon for him, and he's not worth the moon. Quick break. We'll return. We will go to Dallas. By the way, Mikko Rantanen. His first game as a star could come in Edmonton tomorrow night against the Oilers. We'll discuss it on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 furnace install company for sailors because they know the value of a warm port. And they sing, there was a ship who fought the cold and sailed the sea with a furnace load. She brought the heat to YEG and her name was Legacy. Through icy wind and winter squall, her fire she burned for one and all with a comfort chugging guarantee, and her name was Legacy. No payments, no! Yep, no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. Don't trust just any ports in a winter storm. Trust Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Your courtside seat awaits on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I host the basketball show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Don't miss it. I'll catch you this weekend.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
When you live in Northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, Northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34.9. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Join us for the Canadian premiere of Yuki, the untold story of hockey legends on March 10th at Fort Hall, Rogers Place, Edmonton. Hosted by Kelly Rudy, this event features a gripping documentary celebrating over 50 NHL champions of Ukrainian-Canadian descent. Enjoy a Ukrainian-style meal and a Q&A session with Kelly and the director, Vladimir Mula. Tickets are limited, $50 for rush seating and $150 for VIP. Secure your spot now at ukrfolk.ca and be a part of this unforgettable evening.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
2:47. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Big shout out again to Booster Juice for sponsoring trade deadline day today. Of course, Canadian born and been blending since 1999. And not just Canadian born, but how about Edmonton born? Of course, Dale started it right here in Edmonton, a great Canadian success story and a big sponsor of trade deadline day. So thank you to Jimmy and everybody down at Booster Juice. It is trade deadline day. Lots of big deals. We'll recap. But, the Pacific Division today was fairly quiet. LA got Kuzmenko. Vegas didn't do anything. The biggest move Vegas made was say hi on Twitter about 10 minutes before the deadline. Everybody thought, oh, my God, they're going to make a move. But they didn't make a move. Edmonton didn't make one today. They got Walman and Frederick and Jones earlier in the week. You had Vancouver got rid of Soucy. They didn't trade Besser. They didn't trade Pedersen. They didn't didn't even trade Priest Suter. So not a lot of movement today in the Pacific. Calgary did nothing. So, you can make an argument that, you look at Edmonton, of the three top teams in the Pacific, made the most additions recently. Does that help them? That's what the playoffs are for, baby. We'll find out. And the team that right now, if the playoffs started today, for the fourth consecutive year, it would be the Oilers and the LA Kings as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And you only have for a limited time. The Big Mac David runs through until this weekend. Then it's gone, baby. So if you want it, stop in now only at McDonald's. As a longtime analyst for the Kings, Daryl Evans joins us. Daryl, thanks for your time. Your thoughts on the Kuzmenko deal and where you think he might fit in?
Well, I think the Kuzmenko deal, it's an easy deal to make because the Kings did not have to take anybody from their existing core in order to make the deal. I think they get a player in Kuzmenko that a couple of years ago in Vancouver, scored 39 goals, 74 points. He can bring a little bit of offensive flair to the game, in particular on the power play. I think the Kings are looking for that. That's been an area, it's been a soft spot for the Kings all year. So they're hoping there's an injection there. And it should give him a little bit more balance up front. The fact that he doesn't have a contract beyond this year, I think, shows good flexibility for the Kings. And it's a chance for him to audition. I think he comes to a really good, strong, structured hockey club. And if he brings his assets the way he's capable of executing, it should be a win-win for both.
Daryl, there was lots of talk that, LA was going to make a big push for Rantanen, and obviously he ended up going to the Central in Dallas. And Dallas, Colorado right now looks like they could be a first-round matchup. God, that would be fun to watch. But when you look at LA and how their season's gone, a guy like Quentin Byfield, Daryl, we talked about him lots. I've talked to the head coach about him, and he's got so much talent, and he's just like, man, I want him to shoot the puck more. And I saw him the other day this week where he turned and spun and he ripped it home, and you're like, God, you'd like to see him do that more. When you look at the Kings, and they played Edmonton 3 times, have they changed enough? Have they improved enough, do you think, that they could beat Edmonton if they meet him in the playoffs this year?
Well, I think with the changes that they made, it comes with adding guys like Fogle, and then back in the blue line, Edmondson, Jeannot gives them a little bit more physicality and size up front. Darcy Kemper in goal gives them a little bit more stability. But I think one area they're really looking at is the growth of the young players. And you just mentioned Quentin Byfield. And, yeah, everybody wants to see him make, shots like that and moves like that more consistently. But there's definitely been an upswing in the consistency of what he's done this year from last year. So he is growing. Laferriere's game is growing. Alex Turcotte's game's coming along. So they feel that with the growth in their young guys, the guys that they brought in last summer, that they're a different hockey club. And now bringing in a guy like Kuzmenko gives him a little bit more touch up front, gives him another right-handed shot, should give a little energy to the power play, that they're in a better position to be able to compete against Edmonton. Let's face it, everybody knows how good the Oilers are. They've got great experience that they've gained over the last few years in the playoffs. Guys like Corey Perry, who's been there. They're a good hockey club. So it's going to be a chess match if they do meet up again. And I know one thing right now that the Kings are really pushing for is to try to get that home ice advantage, because they've had a great success at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles this year. The NHL's best home record percentage-wise, winning percentage-wise, that is, at 19-3-4. So they're hoping that, if they're able to get that advantage in a series against Edmonton, that might play for their favor.
Drew Doughty, we saw him come back just before the Four Nations, and he got into Four Nations, and, we saw his excitement to get in there, and, his game improved as that tournament went along. How has he looked since coming back, and how is his return? What's been the biggest impact you've seen from his return to the lineup?
Again, it comes to matchups. Each and every game, Doughty's going to continue to grow. He's going to get back and start to feel his form. Prior to going to the Four Nations, you could see moments in his game coming back from Four Nations, the excitement that he had playing at that level of hockey. And, he was the first one to say when he came back, he goes, boy, those guys are fast. He said, I couldn't believe how fast the pace of the game was. Some of that had to do with him not having played the first half of the year, but also just the respect that he has for, the young players coming into this game with the speed that they play at. Drew Doughty will, continue to, grow each game. And right now they're still kind of managing his minutes, so to speak, even though they're still over 25 minutes a night. But he, he's had a little bit of help on the power play, not as much as I think the Kings would like to have seen. And I think that's one of the reasons why there was, aggressive in needing to get another right-handed shot, and that's why they bring Kuzmenko in. But I think Drew will, help this team verbally, or in the locker room, on the bench, the things that he can say, the experience that he can share, with the guys. And, when you get into matchups, whether it be at home or on the road against the Oilers or another team, Drew Doughty's a guy that can match up against anybody because he's played against those guys, throughout his entire career. So it should be a boost for the Kings here in the second half of the year. And even though he wasn't a player from outside the organization, you almost have to look at him as a deadline acquisition because he missed the first half of the year.
Now, when you look at Brandt Clarke's minutes, because I'm looking at the games since they returned from Four Nation, the Kings have played 7 games. Doughty's played the most minutes at 24. Brandt Clarke's down. He's played 5 of those 7 games. He did dress 7 defensemen, I think, in 5 of the games. Is that kind of like when they get to 6? Is it Jordan Spence? Is it Brandt Clarke? Who's going to be the number 6?
Well, I think in just watching the Kings the way they practice today, I think we're going to see both Clarke and Spence in the lineup tomorrow. Okay. It looks like Clarke will go back with his partner Edmondson. That's who he started the season off when Drew Doughty went down with the injury. And then we'll see Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty partner back up, and Jordan Spence and Gavrikov. That's the way they skated today. So I think that's what we'll see tomorrow against the St. Louis Blues, and kind of go from there. They have options. They've got Moverar, who's been really good. Burrows, who's been in and out, and utilizes that 7th guy a number of times through the course of the year. But, they need a little bit more from Brandt Clarke. There were some games there he didn't get as much ice time. Got off to a good start at the beginning of the season. And let's face it, the game gets tougher as the year goes on, and it's a heavy game right now. There's a lot of teams that are competing each and every night. There's a lot, there's a lot at stake. So I think he's still feeling his way around the NHL. Like a lot of other young players, it's a big adjustment, and he still continues to keep showing glimpses. The strength of his game is the offensive, flair that he has, the vision that he has on the ice, and as long as he continues to keep locking down things defensively and playing and putting, an extra concerted effort on that part of the game, the other stuff will unfold in front of him. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of him down the stretch here in this last quarter of the year.
Daryl Evans joins us talking LA Kings. You mentioned Kuzmenko on the power play. Is he going to slide in on that line with Kopitar and Kempe? Do you think that, like, it will be the triple K line?
You never know. I mean, a lot of people are thinking that. A lot of comments around the rink today where that might be the case. And we'll see how. They're not going to get a chance to practice or anything, but I can probably rest assured that you can see him on that top power play unit with those guys for sure. So that would probably make sense to maybe even play him on that line just so they can maybe build a little familiarity before they do get on the ice for that first power play. But both Kempe, Kopitar, they're real easy to players to play with. Kopitar can complement anybody. I think, even people in Edmonton, having watched, the growth of Adrian Kempe over the last few years, he's a world-class player now. He can play in all three positions up front. He can even play defense. So, Kuzmenko goes into a really good situation with those guys, very trusting, very predictable. And he should be able to really just focus on what he needs to do. And they want him to be able to, create some offensive chances. And those guys will give him the opportunity to be able to do that.
Daryl, as always, man, I appreciate it. Should be a great stretch run. If the Kings had to pick, who do you think they match up better with in the first round, Vegas or Edmonton?
That's a good question. They're going to play Vegas again on Sunday. That's a good matchup. I mean, we know the Oilers and Kings familiarity, with over the years, that would be a tough one. The one thing you might say, Vegas is, travel wise, you don't have as much travel. So there's a little bit more rest involved there. But again, at the end of the day, I think, if you're any of the teams, you feel that you've got to go through both of them. So, you just want to make sure your game's at its top level when you go in there. And if you're at your best, you're going to have to beat them. So be it. And that'll be the Kings' probably approach going into the playoffs. Be at the top of your game and then take on whoever you get.
Awesome stuff, Daryl. Great to catch up with you, man. Have an awesome weekend.
All right. Stay healthy and well. We'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, you betcha. That's Daryl Evans, a longtime analyst for the LA Kings, who Kuzmenko's their guy. Now, hey, he might play a pretty big role. Didn't cost him a whole bunch. So see how it works out for them. When I look at the Kings and you look at their defense core, and so you've got Drew Doughty and Anderson. Then Clark plays with Edmondson, and then you'd have Gavrikov in their third pair. Now, he's a pretty good defense. I can't see him playing third pair minutes in the playoffs. There's no chance. He's going to be playing bigger minutes than that. I don't see how, right? They're going to put Clark back with Joel Edmondson. I think come playoff time, I think LA is going to really kind of ride Doughty, Anderson, Gavrikov, and Edmondson. And because if you look, since Fournier, those guys are all playing plus 20, and Spence plays about 13, and then after that, it's 10 minutes for their number 6. So LA's, honestly, I don't think Edmonton would be that concerned if they had to play LA. It's kind of the role reversal somewhat. It's not the salary differential. Because remember when the Oilers, they played hard against Dallas, and yeah, they had the 1 year, 97, that they beat them. They lost 98, they lost in 99, they lost in 2000, they lost in 2001, they lost in 2003. I'm sure King fans are like anybody but Edmonton. And I get why. Because if I went line by line and matchup today, I'd still... Now, the one difference could be that, the Kings penalty kill could figure it out, because the Oilers power play absolutely has murdered them every year in the postseason. That's been such a big difference. 45%, 50%. And I'm not even joking. That is ridiculous in a 5, 6, 7 game series where you're going 45 to 55%. Of course, they're going to win. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. They ensure that 100% of their vehicles have properly aligned tires. Did you know that wheel alignment extends the life of your tire, lowers your carbon footprint, reduces emissions, and lowers your fuel consumption? Read more about Fountain Tire's ESG initiatives at fountaintire.com.
Trade deadline in the NHL has come and gone. Big move of the day has to be Mikko Rantanen and going to the Dallas Stars in exchange for Logan Stankoven, 2 first-round picks and 2 thirds, with some other big names moving around. The Colorado Avalanche acquiring Charlie Coyle and a 5th-round pick from the Boston Bruins for Casey Middlestat, Will Zellers, and a 2nd-round pick in 2025. You also have the Florida Panthers bringing in Brad Marchand from the Boston Bruins, and the Leafs acquiring Brandon Carlo. Some late trades happening. The New Jersey Devils getting Dennis Filowski from the Islanders and Daniel Sprong from the Seattle Kraken. On the ice tonight, you got the Jets taking on the Devils. Caps host the Red Wings. Utah in Chicago. The Canucks host the Wild. Penguins taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. And the Ducks up against the St. Louis Blues. In the association, Toronto Raptors in action. They'll host the Jazz just after 5:30. The Oil Kings will host the Kelowna Rockets down to Rogers Place tonight. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock. In the BCHL, you got Spruce Grove Saints hosting Okotoks out at Grant Fuhr Arena. That's also a 7 o'clock puck drop. In the AJ, Green Valley hosting Olds. Canmore takes on Camrose. GB up against Fort Mac, and Devon is in Lloyd. And in the PWHL, Ottawa travels to Minnesota to take on the Frost. That one gets going at 5 o'clock. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Bruce Levine, Dallas Stars analyst, and hear another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been the Sports 1440 Update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action
welcome.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
It's the best time of the year. Championship season. In the Junior Prospects Hockey League, the quest to claim the Prospects Cup begins with 4 divisions from across Western Canada taking aim. The Hockey Super League's run to the HSL Championship will feature 105 teams battling it out in 4 communities throughout Alberta. And the Female Super League, in its inaugural season, will see teams compete for playoff supremacy. To catch all the championship action, head to silentice.com for league playoff schedules.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Coming thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah, save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Riverside Marine and Motorsports are back for the 2025 Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show, March 21st and 23rd. Discover new 2025 models and exclusive offers like Yamaha finance rates and big rebates. Riverside Marine and Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
What is with the weather lately? Is it winter? Is it an early spring? It's like Mother Nature's a hockey referee that can't quite figure out what an offside or a penalty is. Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to make the right call for your vehicle. Whether it's antifreeze, washer fluid, wiper blades, or that mysterious part you swear you just replaced, Napa has you covered. Because your vehicle deserves consistency. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or napacanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
Don't you just love how Mother Nature never throws any curveballs at farmers? At Vision Credit Union, we know that financial outlooks can change on a dime for food producers. Unlike big banks that take your financial measure based on debt and last year's income tax return, we partner with our members and utilize projections and good sense. Vision Credit Union. We see banking differently. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
3:07. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having an awesome day. Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. It is Lotto Max tonight. The Darnell Nurse of lotteries, $25 million up for grabs. Are you feeling lucky? Get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca. Also, you could be lucky if you're going to the game tomorrow night. Could see both Mikko Rantanen. You know, that'll add a little juice on a Saturday night hockey night in Canada game. Jake Walman for the Edmonton Oilers. And hey, Dallas is playing really well. The Oilers better be ready to go tomorrow night. I'll tell you that. Like, I thought yesterday was a good step in the right direction. They played pretty solid. They limited the chances for Montreal. Skinner came up big when needed. He was fine. If your goalie plays like that most nights, great. You know, now the only issue was their lack of finish last night. Missed some wide. Here's the funny thing. When a goalie allows a goal that you think he should stop, everybody loses. Hey, he's terrible. Well, what about a winger when he's got a wide open net and he hits a goalpost? Why is that just he hit the goalpost? Why? He had a foot to shoot at. A goalie sees a 85-mile-an-hour slap shot, right? And it squeaks through his arm because he doesn't close it quick enough. And everyone's like, oh, my God, this is brutal. Guy has a wide open net. All you got to do is hit the wide open net. It's always amazing to me. And what about Matthias Janmark? That might be Scott Ferguson somewhere is like, hey, I might not have the worst breakaway in Oilers history now. What the hell was he doing? He took it on his backhand as a left shot. You know, he picks it up on his backhand at his own blue line. And there's no one by him. He kept it on his backhand. I'm watching him through the neutral zone. Why is he not moving this to his forehand? What the hell's going on? Does he think there's an invisible defender catching him on the left side? And then, who shoots on a breakaway on your backhand from 13 feet out? And then he missed the net by 6 feet. My God. No joke. You can laugh about it because they won the game. But that was one of the worst breakaway attempts that I've seen in a long time. That was unbelievable to me. It's kind of fitting of how a season's gone offensively. You have no offensive confidence when that's the move you're trying on a breakaway as we welcome in Wanye Gretz.
Is he panicking at that point? Just I got to do something.
It was literally, he had nobody close to him. I couldn't believe it. He's on his backhand. Oh, I'm like, why are you still on your backhand when you've went through the entire neutral zone? I didn't get it, man. I watched that twice and I'm like, maybe the defender was closer than I thought. No, he was it's a shorthanded opportunity. It doesn't even there is a great scoring chance that becomes nothing. Nothing. How is that any different than a goalie having a puck that you're like, well, he should save it, beats him short side, gets a piece of it, goes in? How's it any different? You have a wide open net, you hit the goalpost. Wide open net, you missed the net. To me, it's the same. It's the same level of mistake that is never talked about the same. And I'm not a goalie apologist, but I think at times, the amount of vitriol for every goal is dissected by people who have no clue how to play the position, right? That's why I don't dissect every goal. I never played goalie. Now, we talked to Woodley on the show, and we've all learned way more from Woodley. Lots. But every goal, bad goal, says Bob in his basement. It's just annoying after a while. That's all. Not every goal is a terrible goal, and the goalies are all terrible. Okay? It's not always the goalie. Even when the goalie, they went 30 games, Skinner and Pickard, the Oilers had the best record in the NHL. Stuart Skinner had a .920 save percentage. One bad game, it's terrible. It's unbelievable to me, right? The Oilers didn't improve their goaltending. I've told you for 2 months they weren't improving their goaltending because there was no goaltender to improve. Now, if you choose to still be mad at it, be mad at yourself because you're the one who isn't. Stan Bowman told you we're not getting a goalie. He told you that months ago. Now you keep slamming your head against the wall. Nope, they need a goalie because I said so. That's fine. But then be mad at yourself because you set a unrealistic expectation. The only goalie that got traded in the whole league was Mrazek here in the last 6 weeks. Okay? It's the only one. And don't say Blackwood, because when Blackwood got traded, Stuart Skinner was playing very well. And we're going to trade for him then.
Imagine the pressure of being an NHL goalie and you're like, man, I just don't have it right now when guys are shooting glove side. And then the book goes out saying shoot high on this guy.
It's hard.
And then the most lethal shooters in the world are reviewing game tape before they play you every game knowing to shoot high on you.
Yeah. Hey, guys, what'd you think of Jones? I actually kind of liked him last night. Who do you think comes out for Frederick? And then what about Kane if he's ready? Well, Kane won't be ready until the playoffs. We know that for sure. It's a really good – well, first of all, somebody could get injured, so that makes it easy. But if I had to look at last night's roster and say, okay, based on how they're playing right now, and obviously Trent Frederick isn't going to come back for 2 weeks, according to Stan Bowman. Like he's going to be back before April, which, I guess that could be March 28th or March 30th if we're being technical. But so if I look at last night's forward group, they're still, for one game, Jones isn't coming out. Jones probably earned himself because he got noticed, right? Like it helps that he got a point for sure. But he had a really good back check that negated a play. He was noticeable with his speed. So I think he led all forwards. Maybe Podkolzin had more, but he had 3 hits. Something like, Janmark, Brown, Arvidsson, Kapanen combined probably had 3 hits. So, man, you could pick your poison on who could come out. Like I did notice it was not lost on me that Connor Brown only played 8:38 last night. Connor Brown, like what you did last year only holds for so long. Eventually it's like, well, what are we doing now? Right? And so, because I think that line has been given every opportunity to reproduce what they did last year. And it hasn't worked. I think we can all agree with that. So, you know what? If Jones comes in and just gives you some energy, which is what if I look at when Noah Philp came up, if there was one mistake Noah Philp didn't do was I felt he didn't recognize the situation and say, okay, what can I do that's different? You're 6'3", you skate well. Just go and hit and be energetic, right? Like get in some scrums. That would get you noticed because the Oilers are such a quiet team that when Jones does it, people are like, oh, I notice him because they have so many unnoticeable forwards right now. And that's why I'll tell you, when Frederick comes in and he plays more and he's even more tenacious, Oilers fans are going to be like, oh my God, he's instantly going to become, it's why Klim Kostin became such a fan favorite. He got in a few fights. It's like Podkolzin started the year. Why was Podkolzin a fan favorite? Because he scored a few goals, he had a knockout fight, and he hit. That's it. He just got noticed. And the Oilers have, Stan Bowman put it politely, we have a lot of the same guys, which we've been saying on this show, Cons, for months. They got too much of the same. Different number, different name. One guy's a little bit better of a skater. One guy's a little bit better of a stick handler, but none of them are physical. And that's not necessarily their fault. That's who they are. But you can't have all that many of the same. So to answer your question, right now, I'd probably pick Connor Brown. Who would you take out? Like if Frederick was ready to go tomorrow from last night's lineup, who would come out?
Connor Brown.
Yeah. And now he wouldn't stay out long, but now you're going to have some healthy competition. And then you get to the playoffs, and if everybody's healthy, now Evander Kane's in the mix. Well, I'll tell you right now, Kane's in. Now Jones could probably come out for Kane, realistically. So, but I don't know if Matthias Janmark's lock loaded in. Like I know the penalty kill does matter for sure. And if the penalty kill's good, okay. But when the penalty kill was terrible like it was for the first 15 games, and then terrible again for another 13-game stretch, well, if you're a penalty killer who's not killing penalties, and then you're doing nothing 5-on-5, you're not helping the team. Right? You're just not. So that's to me, that's what they need. Hey, Gregor, you take out Janmark. He's being terrible from Just Jesse. Well, honestly, buddy, I couldn't find a valid argument to go against that point. The way he's played. Just on the breakaway alone, that might get him a seat in the press box. Hey, Gregor, what about Spencer Knight? Well, he got traded for Seth Jones. Okay. So very valid point. He did get traded, but would you have traded one of the orders? Like, would you have traded Darnell Nurse for Spencer Knight? Would you have? Would that have helped the Oilers, do you think? I don't think so. I wouldn't have done it. Darnell Nurse played pretty well this year for the Oilers. So you're right. Spencer Knight did get traded. Very valid point. Hey, boys, reflecting back to the summer when Bowman was hired and all the negative commentary about him, look at his work throughout the year. I would have to give him an A. He's done a good job to improve the team from Elks Oil. Well, you know what? I think a lot of people, if you actually read the report about what Bowman did and who he reported it to, he actually did what you're supposed to do. And then he spent years actually working with Kyle Beach. And for me, I spoke to Kyle Beach about it. If Kyle Beach was like, Stan, you know what, his whole situation, he has no ill will towards Stan Bowman. So if he doesn't, why would I? That was kind of the deciding factor for me in how he explained everything. You know, he goes, Stan didn't have to do what he's done, but he did it to understand it more. Because he felt like, you know what, I should have done more. Even though I went to my superior said I was taking care of it, I probably still should have looked into it again, right? So took ownership for it. But again, he wasn't the guy who physically did anything wrong. When he found out about it, went to the president. The president said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So if your boss tells you saw something bad, you go, hey, boss, this is what's happening. And boss like, hey, I'm taking care of it. You'd probably expect your boss to take care of it, right? So I look at Bowman since now the one mistake I would say was I would have matched Dylan Holloway. We said it at the time, I would have matched Dylan Holloway. He's only 2.3 mil. I get the cap. I'm like, figure it out. Figure it out somehow. I don't care. Do something else. But they didn't, and that's fine. And so Podkolzin for a 5th rounder, that's a clear win. You know, Kapanen on waivers hasn't hurt their team at all. He's been okay. I'm not sure he's going to be a regular in the playoffs or not, but you know, he filled the time spot, cost you nothing. I like the Trent Frederick trade. I like the Walman trade. So yeah, during the year, I would have, and Stan's actually going to join us live here at 5:00 today. So I will ask him about, you know, I want to ask him about the Jeff Skinner situation. And, you know, because you have to, how can I not ask about it? So, you know, we'll ask Stan, but I think overall, the thing about Bowman is like, he's been pretty straightforward. He said when he took over, goes, hey, in December, when I interviewed him, he said that, you know what, we got to change the dimensions of our team, which anybody who watched the Oilers, I think we all know what that meant, right? They're not very aggressive at all. And now Trent Frederick I think Trent Frederick, if he's just Trent Frederick and he scores you 17 or 18 goal pace, you're like, okay, great. But could Trent Frederick become a little bit more productive playing with Leon Draisaitl? I think that's the hope. And I'll ask Stan about it. But I would think when you acquire Trent Frederick, when you look at your lineup, you're penciling him in to get a long look with Leon Draisaitl. Like, who else is going to do it? It's got to be him, I would think. Hey, Gregor, what about Butts live on air? Have you ever wondered what a 2-goal scorer looks like? Well, have you seen it? Is that what he said? Oh, see, I didn't. I had recorded it on the Sportsnet feed, so I didn't see that. But that was because obviously Montreal games are on TSN. Well, we have Butts coming up. I'm sure we'll have a chuckle because you're right. Like there is, like I said, when a player doesn't have confidence, it's pretty obvious, right? It's the old adage. That guy couldn't wheel a tire down a hill. And on that play, like from the offensive blue line, I don't think I've ever, when you have no impression, you've seen a player keep the puck on his backhand when he got into the offensive zone. Like, I get it where guys, you know, you shield off, you protect it. Okay. But you're just skating in a straight line and there's no one around you. That to me is all I need to see that Janmark's got zero offensive confidence, which is another reason why Jesse and a few others text in, that'd be the guy they take out. I could see it. Right? At this point, I could see the argument for it. Because the other thing is Trent Frederick can kill penalties. Right? So, and that's a valuable piece. Because if he kills penalties, you don't need, if you got too many bottom 6 guys who are just penalty killers doing nothing, well, now we got a guy who's not going to play in the power play for us because our power play is set. Well, we want Trent Frederick to stay in the game, so he's going to penalty kill for sure. And now somebody in your bottom 6 takes away their penalty kill role. If they're not doing you 5-on-5, they're probably coming out of the lineup. 321, Jason Gregor, Wanya Gretz with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And when we come back, we will go to Dallas. Big move for the Star. Are we going to see Mikko Rantanen in Edmonton in Dallas jersey tomorrow? We'll find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Tonight, it's really heating up at Rogers Place. Your Edmonton Oil Kings face the Kelowna Rockets, and it's Firefighters Appreciation Night. Family fun that's second to none. Plus, fans in attendance get their own fire helmet souvenir. And at every home game, score Calmont Kids Food combos for $10 or less. The value is bigger than a fire engine. Oil Kings, Rockets. Firefighters Appreciation Night this evening at 7. Great family entertainment starts at just $20 a seat. Tickets and more at oilkings.ca.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Don't you just love hearing about multi-million-dollar bonuses for your bank executives? Us neither. Vision Credit Union is a financial cooperative, which means our members benefit when we succeed. Each year, we tally up our finances to see how much of the profits we can share with members and deposit those funds, profit shares, into our members' share accounts. Vision Credit Union. We see banking differently. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Tonight, it's really heating up at Rogers Place. Your Edmonton Oil Kings face the Kelowna Rockets, and it's Firefighters Appreciation Night. Family fun that's second to none. Plus, fans in attendance get their own fire helmet souvenir. And at every home game, score Calmont Kids Food combos for $10 or less. The value is bigger than a fire engine. Oil Kings, Rockets. Firefighters Appreciation Night this evening at 7. Great family entertainment starts at just $20 a seat. Tickets and more at oilkings.ca.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.327. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Jim Neal is just wrapping things up, so Bruce will probably push him back to the next segment, and so he'll by then Jim has spoke, so we'll know for sure what's happening with Rantanen. Big day if you're a Dallas Stars fan. They get Rantanen not only in a trade, but they also lock him up on an 8-year extension. They also signed Wyatt Johnston to a 5-year extension. Rupe Hintz recently. They got a lot of their core is locked in, and just like I said at this time last year, Leon Draisaitl was going to sign an extension. I fully expect in the summer of 2025 that Connor McDavid will sign an extension, and you'll have McDavid and Draisaitl locked up. I think Bouchard. Now Bouchard's contract is going to be interesting to me. I am going to say it right today. I won't be stunned if there's a bridge deal today. Now, Bouchard has a very good playoffs, then everything changes. And the reason why is because Bouchard's regular season has been okay. And he would still want to get big money, as he should. But after that season, the Oilers are probably more hesitant to do it. So you go to arbitration. What's the arbitrator going to look like? What are the offers going to be? You figured out I could see a shorter-term deal then. But the reason why is he has a great playoffs, which he has done the last 2 years. Playoffs get valued fairly heavily by arbitrators. And so, then Bouchard's case strengthens. And I think Oilers probably, more willing to do it. Right? It's just business. It's timing. Like I said, if Bouchard was an RFA last year, he'd already have a monster deal. Because that's just how it works. Like, timing's everything in life. Somebody out there, you started a business and, Bob started his business a year earlier than you. It wasn't the right time. You start yours. It works out perfect, right? Somebody bought a house right before the market, and then 6 months later, the market went up and boom, you're like, oh, this is great for us. So timing does matter in everything. There's players out there. Warren Fogle had a career year. The year he's going as a free agent. It's great. Jeff Skinner, free agent, not having a career year. That's just how it works. So there's timing's everything. And the Bouchard contract, I'm just saying I won't be stunned if it's a bridge deal.
What do you think about the timing when I got that Reed Schaefer jersey, Gregor?
Yeah, well, it didn't work out well for you, did it?
No.
Well,
ill-timed.
Yeah.
They said at the jersey store.
Well, but you know what? You got a jersey out of it, so I guess that's it.
Do you think the Oilers did enough today, 5th in the West? Like, did they do enough to give themselves a shot at?
Well, I think so, because LA and Vegas, the teams that they will face in the first 2 rounds, did nothing.
Yeah.
And so I get the Colorado and Dallas and when Winnipeg added Shen and Tanev, okay. But I still think Frederick and Walman are better additions than them, but Winnipeg today has been a better team than Edmonton. So I look at Edmonton and say, hey, Dallas and Colorado, like, look at the moves that Dallas and Colorado made. There's a very good chance they're going to meet each other in the first round. So one of them is out. I don't know who it's going to be, but what if it's Dallas? Everyone's like, oh my God, they got Rantanen, it's great. And then they lose in the first round, right? Because what if Miro Heiskanen, he comes back, is a little rusty and isn't the Miro Heiskanen that you expect, right? Now, on the other side, what if he comes back and he's great? Wow, that makes him pretty good. So I think Edmonton, now I've said it, they've done enough, because the only thing maybe, like, I would have liked to get a right shot center iceman. I think that's one. Well, Stan Bowman's going to come on at 5:00 today, so I'll ask him about that. Like, How close were you? Right? And to me, I don't have to like the answer. Right? But I just want to say, hey, this is their answer. This is how they're feeling. Okay, great. I don't have to agree with it, but I just respect it if they give me the answer. Right? Hey, what were you thinking? What was your approach for the fourth line center? And then you say, you know what? I actually think Adam Henry can be our fourth line center. Or, you know what? We like Kapanen, whatever his reason is going to be. We'll find out. So that would have been it. There wasn't a lot of scoring wingers, right? Like Brock Besser, would Vancouver really trade him to you? They didn't trade him to anybody. So, you know, and outside of that, like Brad Marchand, like I'll say, it's funny to me, like Brad Marchand had no movement clause. To me, this is where he just, you know, East Coast guys don't always want to come out here. He's one, and he was like, well, Florida's close because they gave up nothing. They gave up a second-round pick that could turn into a first-round pick is basically what that trade amounted to. And let's be honest, like Brad Marchand, many of you watched him in the Four Nations. He's good, but this is not the Brad Marchand who scored 100 points and then he had like 5 consecutive 80-point seasons, I think it was, or 4 or 5, something like that. Like he's good. It's still a 20-goal scorer. Like obviously he would help the Edmonton Oilers, no question. But you know, would he have even wanted to come here?
If you're Florida and you think you're going deep again to the Cup Finals, potentially trying to repeat, he's an excellent addition.
Yeah, and they're against timing. If Matthew Tkachuk doesn't get injured at Four Nations, Florida's not able to make all these moves because they don't have the LTIR space. So there's always a little bit of luck when it comes to winning a Stanley Cup, good and bad. Right? Sometimes you have injuries at the wrong time. Sometimes you have good ones. Hey, Gregor, what about Ricard Raquel from Josh? Josh, you know what? That's a decent one. 5 years though on his contract, right? Like those type of deals, possible. What did Ekholm have? 3, so plausible. A little bit harder. Because I don't even know what Pittsburgh's doing. Like it's like they're trying to retool without rebuilding. I'm not sure it's going to work, but because maybe they were like, we don't want to trade Ricard Raquel for. I'm assuming it would have been Jeff Skinner just to make the money work, and then something else. Where they're like, well, no, that just makes us worse. So maybe they were never that interested. Like they still have Crosby. They're just in a weird spot in Pittsburgh. Like they're holding out hope that they can somehow retool that machine without having to completely rebuild it. Now they do have a lot of draft picks. And I will say this, they made an unreal trade with Nashville. I'm going to say the worst trade of trade deadline week was Barry Trotz trading Tommy Novak and Luke Schenn for Michael Bunting. Like what? It's like they just threw Luke Schenn into the trade. And then Pittsburgh turned around and traded him for a second and a fourth. Like, honestly, is there any trade do you think was worse? I can't think of one. Like, I don't know what Barry Trotz was like. Did he not like Luke Schenn? Like, I don't understand it. That like, there's no rhyme or reason. Michael Bunting and Novak basically have the same points. Like Michael Bunting, you know, he had 1 year in Toronto and you know, he's an okay guy, works hard. I have no problem with that. He can score you 15, 18 goals, give or take. But so can Tommy Novak. And then you just threw in Luke Schenn. And then Winnipeg got him for a second and a fourth. Like, so basically they gave up a second, a fourth, and Novak for Michael freaking Bunting. God, that's brutal. Brutal. Hey, guys, the odds makers have Florida the favorite, Dallas followed by the Oilers. So maybe the Oilers aren't as bad as some people think. I'm actually kind of surprised at how bad some people think the Oilers are. Like, I know they played poorly for, 11 games? Totally would agree with that. But the previous 30, they had the best record in the NHL. And I find some people talk, and the Oilers just added Walman. Like, he's really good. And you're going to love Trent Frederick when he plays. Even Jones is an upgrade on what they had for fourth-line guys. So even if that's only a 2% increase, it's still an increase. So I am a little surprised by how many people think the Oilers are just terrible.
When is Frederick due to play?
Well, Stan Bowman said today that before April, he couldn't give a specific date. So sounded like a few weeks. So if you look at the Oilers schedule, he's obviously not going to go on this upcoming 4-game road trip. Then they come home and they play on the 18th against Utah. Then they play the 20th. Then I think they play the 22nd. So I would say, maybe somewhere around that, like 2 weeks would be the 21st. Like maybe he's back on the 22nd.
And what's his injury?
Ankle. He has a walking boot. So, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's an ankle kind of foot thing. So, but the only thing now, maybe they're being super cautious about it, but when Frederick asked, he goes, I don't even really know. Like usually a player would say, he didn't say, I don't know what the injury was. He just didn't say he didn't know what his timeline was. So, hey guys, crazy how Tkachuk goes from day to day to being out 2 months. How many more times will Bettman let his baby American teams get away with this? Evander Kane hasn't skated in months. It's not close to the same situation. Cal, though, don't you remember? All these guys were reporting, Evander Kane's probably going to come back before the playoffs just last week. And I was like, no, he isn't. And everybody was reporting, yes, he is. And I was like, no, he isn't. And guess what? He isn't. Matthew Tkachuk has a groin injury. Like, no one can debate that he has an injury. Everybody saw it. Like, he couldn't finish a game at the Four Nations. Biggest game he's played in. Well, he's obviously played in the Stanley Cup, but biggest game he's ever played in his first country. I think he's clearly hurt. Now, could he be ready on April 1st? Maybe. But that's not cheating. It's following the rules. He's clearly hurt. They're not going to rush him back. And he might be ready for the playoffs. Who knows? But here's the thing. What if Matthew Tkachuk isn't ready? Like, you can't get mad unless he shows up in game one. But even then, if he shows up in game one and Evander Kane shows up in game one, regardless of how long Kane's been out, if he showed up in game one, could he not have played a week earlier? Like, that's always my argument. Could he not have played a week earlier? So let's get to the 2-minute warning now, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace, or think positive, your AC unit starting to warm up slowly. Get both at legacyheating.ca.
Stan Bowman is taking a huge risk. They don't come much bigger, especially on the National Hockey League's trade deadline day. The final time clubs can make meaningful additions before the grueling postseason. Bowman, the Oilers' general manager, had a fireside chat with reporters around 2 p.m. Friday. The topic: why didn't the Oilers make a deal? A deal worth a 120-point bold newspaper deadline. Bowman said, sure. There were some deals the Oilers looked at, but nothing, as he said, that crossed the finish line. And so he hopes this current edition of your Edmonton Oilers has what it takes. Bowman also said the team has dialed it right now to win big. As much as we want 97 and 29 to play at their current levels forever and ever, and then some, such a scenario ain't possible. So, yes, there is urgency. Too bad. Such a philosophy cannot morph itself into the feisty of the current Oilers. On the ice. Against Montreal. I thought they looked passive and as fragile as Grandma Anderson's favorite. Said if she keeps on the top shelf of her oak buffet so nobody touches it. A 3-2 overtime win against Montreal? Sure, they'll take it. But if this team was playing at what they were, say a month ago, well, you figure it out. Bowman mentioned how, in professional sports, a straight line doesn't exist. He knows that, and he knew. When he joined the Oilers in the summer, they would not be as good as they were in the Stanley Cup playoffs when the season started, but he knew they could be. So here we are, 20 games to go. Should they go 500? There's 20 points, so they would end the season with 96 points, 8 fewer than last year. So why don't we get this rolling? Say Saturday against Dallas. 2-minute warning with me, Tater. Monday, Friday, Gregor Show. Sports, 1440.
When we come back, Bruce Levine will join us. Mikko Rantanen, will you see him against the Oilers tomorrow? We'll find out next.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork.
Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantorque.com.
Okay, how about you give us your star winger for a bag of pucks? What if I throw in some Will Hawk beef jerky?
Yourself a drink.
With Will Hawk beef jerky on their side, the Alberta teams definitely have an unfair advantage this trade deadline. Pick up some today and use it for trade leverage in your fantasy league.
No way, man. It's way too good.
Will Hawk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win trades with salad.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Mr. Ruther checks off his bucket list.
Skydiving is tops on my list.
I want to go to Bali.
What's at the top of your bucket list, Mr. Ruther?
Definitely the Rubbermaid H2864R. It has 14 quarts of capacity with a spill-free pour spout and a corrosion-resistant handle. Wow, what a bucket.
You know that a bucket list isn't a list of nice buckets, right?
I do. That's how good this bucket is.
For a plumber with buckets of plumbing passion, call Mr. Ruther.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
Course to this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding a crowd, get the triple plate, 3 large specialty or 5 topping pizzas for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As we get to our trade deadline report, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. And Truck Month is on now at GMC. You can get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on a 2025 Sierra HD model. See more at gmccanada.ca. As we go to Dallas with the biggest edition of the day in trades. Bruce Levine joins us from Dallas Stars radio analyst. And Bruce, Mikko Rantanen, this came down, I guess, early this morning that rumors were the Stars and Carolina were trying to negotiate a deal. It took a while, but eventually it got done. They gave up some firsts and some thirds and a young Stan Bowman. But most importantly, they get Rantanen locked up for 8 years, $12 million AAV that kicks in next year. So I guess the most important question, will he be playing in Edmonton tomorrow night?
Yes, he will. Jim Nill just talked to him a few minutes ago. They said that Mikko Rantanen will make his Dallas Stars debut tomorrow against the Oilers. He has to fly from Raleigh, and as you can guess, it's not easy to get from Raleigh to Edmonton on short notice, but the plan is for him to join the team there, and he will play tomorrow night. So if you don't have a ticket, it's going to be a tough one to get.
Look overall at this team, and if you put on your matchmaker and you say, okay, the best line combination for Mikko Rantanen, is it with Rupe Hintz and Jason Robertson? Where do you think he's going to play?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. You put Rantanen with Rupe Hintz because they do have a bit of familiarity and they do have a bit of chemistry. Put him out there with Jason Robertson, who's been lights out since the Christmas break. So you go with Robertson, Hintz, and Rantanen, which allows you to put Granlund on a line with Duchesne and Marchment. And then, of course, you've got Jamie Benn and Wyatt Johnston playing along with Donna for the moment. And then we'll see what happens when Tyler Seguin comes back. But this team right now is absolutely loaded at the forward spot, and it's going to get stronger with Seguin returning probably end of season or for the first round of the playoffs.
So that was my next question. Seguin, they hope to be back for the playoffs. Miro Heiskanen, how confident are they that Heiskanen will be ready for game one of the playoffs?
Well, again, talking to Jim Nill, he thinks that Heiskanen will be ready. I mean, the hope is by the end of the season, that's probably not likely, but they are targeting a first-round return for Miro Heiskanen coming off knee surgery. So the Dallas Stars could really be not only loaded at forward and defense with the trades they made, bringing in Cody Ceci, of course, but they might get Seguin and Heiskanen around the same time as reserves as the postseason just starting to heat up. So they feel very good about the place they're in. Now, of course, with rehab, you never can tell, but if the guys are still tracking the way they were, both Seguin and Heiskanen should be available at the latest for round two.
Right now, Lyubushkin's playing with Thomas Harley. Obviously, when you have Heiskanen back, he'll be in your top pair. Would Bichelle or Dumba come out of the lineup then, do you think, for the playoffs?
I think a lot of it depends on matchup. If the Stars are playing a more physical team, I would say that you'd want, Bichelle has played so well, but he's still a rookie and he's still learning. So depending if Dumba continues, he's been playing well as of late. He's had a bit of an upward surge since he's been in the lineup coming off the facial injury. I could see Bichelle maybe sitting ahead of Dumba because Pete DeBoer does like his veterans. But if the Stars are in a physical battle, playing a team that is a big force with forwards, Bichelle has gone from not playing at all at the NHL level to second on the team in hits in less than 20 games. So if you need that physical force, they might be willing to go with the rookie mistake for the sheer size and magnitude of what Bichelle brings on the blue line.
Bruce, when I look at Dallas, they're on a roll here. You know what? They kind of were in a little bit of a funk, and I'm not surprised that they get on a roll and Jason Robertson gets on a roll. Kind of what happened? Because he had a really slow start. And, even last year, a little bit of a down year, but man, he's really picked it up lately. When you talk to him, what's changed for Robertson?
Jason Robertson had surgery during the offseason, and the Dallas Stars are a team that is not very forthcoming these days with medical reports. So Jason Robertson had foot surgery in the offseason. He literally could not be on his foot. He had to be on the couch for a month. Then he had a knee scooter for a while after that, and he really didn't start to skate until training camp. And Jason Robertson will say, he played, but he wasn't even close to 100%. The foot had not conformed yet to hockey skating and playing the type of speed game that the Dallas Stars play. So he was a step slow. He was a step behind. But as the injury is healed and he's gotten to 100%, he's looked like the Jason Robertson. It's really nothing more than he was injured. He came back at 65 to 70%. And as the season's gone on, he's got healthy. And now he's at 100%. And when Jason Robertson's at 100%, he's a darn good hockey player.
Oh God, yeah, he's really good player. There's no question about it. When you look at like Stan Bowman, he's going to get more opportunity in Carolina. What do you think's the ceiling on a guy like Stan Bowman?
First of all, I want to say I absolutely love Logan Stankoven as a player. I saw him here at the U18s when he really stepped up for Team Canada in 2020. Great kid. Stars are going to miss him. I think with playing with Carolina, Stankoven can be a 25 to 30 goal scorer. He's got an upside. But the greatest thing about Stankoven is he doesn't take a shift off. And he's going to be a kind of guy that Rod Brindamore absolutely loves because his motor always runs and he never slows down. Forecheck, back check, paycheck. That's Stankoven. The Stars were not happy to give him up. This was not who they wanted to give up. But Carolina pretty much said, of all the prospects you got, this is the guy. If you want to make the trade, this is the guy you've got to have. I think Stankoven is going to have a fine career in Carolina and whatever. He's a great kid. You know, it crushes you a little bit to see him go because he's progressed so well within the organization. But, you know, there's a price you got to pay for if you want to get Mikko Rantanen, and that was the price.
Look at the arms race, Bruce, in that Central Division. So Dallas obviously made huge moves, and to me, it's kind of interesting that right now, you know, Dallas and Colorado would meet Mikko Rantanen against his former team, which would be great theater and drama. But Colorado's went out; they've added a lot, and in Nelson and Lindgren and everybody else there. Winnipeg's been playing great all year, and they added, you know, some smaller pieces, not the big name guys that Colorado or Dallas did, but only one of those teams is even getting out of the second round, right? Like this, it's crazy. Colorado and Dallas could meet in the first round. One of them is going to go out, and both of these teams took huge swings. Now, Dallas I like a little bit better because they got the long-term deal for Rantanen, but it just shows you, like, the Central Division, man, my God, like, is Dallas, do you think that they kind of have to go out of their way to try to catch Winnipeg just because that means they'd avoid those two teams at least for one round?
You know, 3 weeks ago, I would have said as long as the Dallas Stars are playing good hockey, it doesn't matter. Now I really believe, you know, Dallas won the West last year in the regular season, and their reward was playing Vegas in the first round. This year, whether it be Calgary, Vancouver, Utah, St. Louis, there is a huge advantage to winning the Central Division this year. So I really think there's going to be an emphasis on catching Winnipeg if possible and avoiding that first round matchup. Because whoever plays in that first round, don't forget, Minnesota right now is in the 3 spot. I don't know if they can continue to hold it, but if you can avoid playing Colorado and just let the two teams, 2 and 3, just match each other up, it's going to be a huge advantage going into the second round. So I do believe, I agree with you, that there is going to be an emphasis on catching Winnipeg. Now, Dallas isn't going to mortgage everything to try to come in first place in the division, but if you have a chance to catch Winnipeg and play a wild card team, there's no question you go for that, because that first round matchup with the Colorado is going to be a battle for whoever gets it.
Bruce Levine joins us from Dallas. Lastly, Bruce, when you look at the goaltending situation, we know that Jake Ottinger is obviously the go-to guy for the Stars. What's the rotation going to be in your eyes down the stretch here for Dallas? Like, do they care that much about placement, or do they care more about ensuring that he's super fresh for the playoffs?
Well, first of all, Casey DeSmith has been lights out for us. He had a couple of bad starts in November and December, lost to Anaheim, got blown out in Chicago. But ever since then, every game he's played, he has given Dallas a chance to win. If you look at his numbers over the past few months, they have been very, very solid for a backup. I would say that Jake Ottinger plays 2 out of every 3 games. But I do not see them deviating from that, because it looks like Jake is really tracking toward 50 to 55 starts, which may be a little bit more than Dallas had planned at the beginning of the year. But DeSmith has given you no reason to think that he can't come in and handle it. For example, this weekend, I would expect Jake Ottinger to play tomorrow night against Edmonton. DeSmith will go against his former team in Vancouver. So the Dallas Stars are very comfortable with Casey DeSmith playing. I believe the team has 20 games left. I could see Casey DeSmith playing at least 6 to 7 going down the stretch, because he has been very, very good for Dallas in that backup role.
All right. Awesome, Bruce. Thanks so much for this on a busy day. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes for us. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me on, boys.
There you go. That's Bruce Levine joining us from Dallas, where the Stars, obviously their Star fans are excited. Not only did they acquire Rantanen, they signed him to an 8-year deal. They also signed Wyatt Johnson to a 5-year extension. Both will kick in next season for Dallas. The Stars got all their core guys locked up. Now, Jamie Benn's contract does expire at the end of this season. You know what? I could see Ben signing on. Obviously, he's not going to be at the $9.5 million range anymore. It would go down a bit. But the interesting thing about Dallas, if I had to say the one concern I have about the Stars is, they got a lot of veteran I'm not sure they're the fleetest of foot. And in a series against Colorado, I'd be even with Heiskanen, I like him a lot. That would be my one concern for them in a series against Colorado.
Are they the big winners today, you think?
Dallas? Well, they get the best player. There's no question about that. So, Rantanen's going to make him better. Like Rantanen, Granlund, and Ceci, those are three pretty good additions for them. Right over, since basically whatever it was, 6 weeks ago, whenever that trade was made. Was it? I think it might have been on the I can't remember if it was the 3rd or the 27th of January, whatever it was. So, but today for sure that Rantanen, but they've improved their team, but the teams they're facing directly have also improved. And that's their biggest challenge. Like I really think the race for first is massive in the Central because that means you avoid the other two teams. And like, obviously you'd like to finish in the Pacific, but like if you have to play LA or Minnesota, it's not that drastically of a difference, I don't think, for Edmonton, because that's who it looks trending to be. Like Minnesota, I think, is going to be 4th. Bill Guerin said, you know what? I think Kaprizov's coming back this year. We're very confident he is. So that's why he didn't even try to make any trades because he had no cap space to do it. He was on record saying that today. So I look at Minnesota, and when they get Kaprizov back, hey, they're a much different team. But by the time he comes back, they'll be stuck, I think, pretty comfortably in that number 7 slot, the first wild card. I guess they'd have to really tank. So I guess it's possible that they would drop down and have whoever's number 8. But like right now, they're 8 points in 20 games is a lot to make up, especially when you consider the 3-point night that happens a lot down the stretch. 3:58, Jason Gregor. Juan Yagretz, to remind you, Stan Bowman's going to join us live at 5:00 today. Also, we got Spec coming up. Low Tide, Craig Button. We got a busy next few hours in the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice as they introduce 3 new food options with new ingredients that create new cravings. The guacamole chicken panini, guacamole black bean wrap, and the egg and chipotle black bean wrap. Visit your nearest Booster Juice to treat your taste buds today.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The NHL trade deadline had come and gone earlier this afternoon. Big news. Dallas Stars bringing in Mikko Rantanen from the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for Logan St. Coven, 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round selections. You also had Dylan Cousins and Dennis Gilbert going to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker back to the Buffalo Sabres. Brandon Tennant heading to Winnipeg from Seattle for a second-round pick. The Avs bringing in Charlie Coyle and a fifth-round pick for Casey Middlestat, William Zellers, and a second-round pick in 2025. Brad Marchand heading to the Florida Panthers in exchange for a conditional second-round pick. And the Maple Leafs also getting a Bruin, Brandon Carlo. The result or returning price still to be determined. On the ice tonight, you got the Devils taking on the Jets. Caps host the Red Wings, Utah in Chicago. Canucks host the Wild. Penguins take on the Golden Knights. And the Ducks up against the Blues in the association. Toronto Raptors taking on the Utah Jazz. That'll get going just after 5:30. Also, the Thunder host the Blazers. Timberwolves taking on the Heat. And the Hornets welcome the Cavaliers to Charlotte. The Oil Kings in action hosting the Kelowna Rockets. That'll get going just after 7 o'clock down at Rogers Place. In the BCHL, Spruce Grove Saints taking on Okotoks out at the Grand Pier Arena. 7 o'clock start in that one. In the PWHL, Minnesota takes on Ottawa. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet, TSN's Craig Button, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Tonight, it's really heating up at Rogers Place. Your Edmonton Oil Kings face the Kelowna Rockets, and it's Firefighters Appreciation Night. Family fun that's second to none. Plus, fans in attendance get their own fire helmet souvenir. And at every home game, score Calmont Kids Food combos for $10 or less. The value is bigger than a fire engine. Oil Kings, Rockets. Firefighters Appreciation Night this evening at 7. Great family entertainment starts at just $20 a seat. Tickets and more at oilkings.ca.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Blue Jays fans, are you ready? Spring training is here. And every Sunday at 11 a.m., Sports 1440 carries Blue Jays baseball. Put yourself in Florida, in the heat, in the stands, having a cold one, listening to Sports 1440.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. This Edmonton-based tournament pairs hockey fans with some of their favorites from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend featuring a champions luncheon and tournament. Teams are already fundraising in the community.
I thought they looked passive and as fragile as Grandma Anderson's.
Continue providing help for today through free education programs and support services, and hope for tomorrow through research.
See him against the
For more
Oilers tomorrow.
information or
We'll
to learn
find
how
out.
You can get involved. Visit
It's the-
alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck
Positive.
Month GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features, including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this truck month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
What is with the weather lately? Is it winter? Is it an early spring? It's like Mother Nature's a hockey referee that can't quite figure out what an offside or a penalty is. Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to make the right call for your vehicle. Whether it's antifreeze, washer fluid, wiper blades, or that mysterious part you swear you just replaced, Napa has you covered. Because your vehicle deserves consistency. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or napacanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
When you wash, get the Works. The Works Car and Truck Wash is now open in Wetaskiwin. With 8 self-serve bays, you'll never have to wait in line. This isn't your typical gas station car wash. Choose from soft touch or touchless automatic washes. Plus, big trucks are welcome in the oversized highway truck bay. Use code SPORTS1440 when you purchase a wash card, and you'll receive a 15% bonus. Cannot be combined with other offers or promotions. When you wash, get the Works. Visit theworkswash.ca or follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday rolls through. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretzky on a lovely positive Friday. The trades are all official. If you missed it, the Oilers did not make a trade today. Maybe you were working the night shift last night, but Jake Walman is now a member of the Edmonton Oilers. He was acquired last night for a first-round pick. Also, they're throwing Berglund. I think that was just for the 50-man roster. So the Oilers still had 48 in case, just for some flexibility, just in case today, but nothing came of it. So they will head in with what they have currently. Now, keep in mind the rosters expand now. And as long as you're cap compliant, heck, you could have 27 skaters if you want. So the Oilers do have more due to guys on LTIR, that being Evander Kane. And so they've got the space. So the Oilers currently have 8 defensemen. Cam Dineen was sent back to Bakersfield. He was up, played last night on emergency loan. So he actually technically never really counted on the roster. But with Walman, they'll have 8 defensemen. And they currently have 14 forwards. Well, 15, I guess, if you count Kane. And then, of course, Frederick. So 15-8, and then the 2 goalies. So currently going with 25-man roster, and they're still cap compliant. Let's get to it is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Go to GameSenseAB.ca and learn more. It's time a little earlier today for the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialist. Whether it's just the simple things like you having running water in your home or ensuring all the freeways, they put all the underground infrastructure down first, keeping the city moving. That's GS Construction. As Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us once again. Spec, how you doing?
Well, pretty good. It's always a happy day when a guy's putting to bed that trade deadline column, because it only gets easier from here. Now we just have to focus on games, not all the deadline and all that stuff. So it's one of my favorite days, Jay. Gotta admit it.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. The excitement everybody builds up and you're watching. There's obviously the Rantanen deal was a big one. Which other deals around the league today caught your eye?
Well, which other deals? I would say to you, I like what Winnipeg did, but Winnipeg left $6 million on the table, right? They had $6 million in cap space they didn't spend. So I don't know if that answers your question as a deal that caught my eye, but maybe that's a deal that wasn't made that caught my eye. How about that? I'm, like we'll talk about the Oilers coming up here. I'm really surprised to say to you this afternoon that the Oilers did more than anybody else in the Pacific. I mean, Vegas, what happened to Vegas? They always do something, right? They swing for the fences every year. They got Riley Smith, and that was it. And the LA Kings got Kuzmenko, and that was it. So, there's a lot of deals around the league. The Rantanen thing, Dallas did a nice job on that. They're a really good team. The Central and Colorado beefed up like crazy. To me, the 2 divisions that really went to war here were, the Florida, Toronto, Tampa group and the Central Division. But I think I'm also looking at some teams that didn't do anything, Jay, that surprised me. Is that fair?
Oh, well, Vegas, even LA, right? LA went and, got Kuzmenko. So now,
does Kuzmenko make you better?
Well, for them, it does. They want a shooter with Kempe and Kopitar. So I think that's where he's going to start. And their power play is junk, and they need a right. So he might, if he scores a few power play goals, then yeah, it makes them better.
I guess.
I don't know if it makes them. I don't think he's, going to have as much of an impact to their team as Frederick and Walman would for Edmonton, for instance.
No, and look, Kuzmenko, Tocchet couldn't handle him in Vancouver anymore. They had him in Calgary where they don't score very much, and they traded him, right? He went to Philly for 30 seconds, and they traded him. So, I mean, Kuzmenko, to me, he can clearly score goals, but he gives up more than he gets. And in the playoffs, that player kills you.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, that's totally valid. Looking at the Oilers, Spec, were you surprised they didn't make any other moves today?
Here's what I saw today. Now, I asked Stan this question. He didn't really agree with me, and that's fair. I thought that going into today, they had $300,000 in cap space this morning, right? They're obviously in the LTIR situation that they're in. So that hamstrings you a little. 300,000, you clearly need to trade a player out, like a roster player who makes money, like Skinner, like Arvidsson, like Kane. So that makes it harder. Then you got to find a team that wants your player, but also has the player you want. Right. So that makes it harder. So to me today, I think sometimes the head of the needle just gets too small to thread, if you know what I'm trying to say here. If there was a deal out there for Stan Bowman, it was a needle in a haystack and he couldn't find it today. I guess that's what I'd say. So I wasn't totally surprised he didn't get anything done today, Jay, not at all. And I'd say to you that, after bringing in two big forwards, Frederick, I really like that acquisition. And I think, everyone tells me Walman's a very good player. He's a legit top four defenseman. So I think they had a decent deadline. How do you grade out on Bowman's deadline?
Well, I like those additions. I don't even mind Jones because he brings something they don't have. They got too many fourth liners who are exact same, who do nothing.
Yeah.
So, as I said, he might only play you 10 minutes, but if his 10 minutes are more impactful than the other guy's 10 minutes, that's an upgrade to your team.
It is.
And, when Kane comes back, then maybe he's not in the lineup, and so that's fine. But I've been saying it for months. I wrote the article. The Oilers are they just don't engage enough in games too often. Their GM said as much. Their players have said as much. I think it's, it's pretty obvious for anybody who understands the game that was an area that the Oilers needed to improve. And they did. I like the Walman trade a lot. I know but he won't be a regular in your top four. Well, I think what's going to happen here is I think you're going to see it kind of like a top five, and you're going to have guys moving around. I think this could mean, a few less minutes at times for Evan Bouchard 5-on-5 because Walman can play a little bit more. He can play the right side. Kulak can play the right side. So I'm kind of going to be very curious to see the distribution of minutes. And it might even mean Matthias Ekholm plays a few less minutes, Spec, because it hasn't been talked about enough. But it's not like Ekholm's he hasn't been killing it this year. And so maybe a little bit less mileage on him down the stretch drive might be a good thing.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying this with Kevin this morning. We've all seen lots of coaches. Daryl Sutter's my sort of template who puts his lines in the blender so often and so early in games. I've never seen a team. I've never covered a team that plays their defensemen with each other, mixing them up during a game as much as Paul Coffey does. I've never seen that. And they do it here all the time. Nurse comes out with Kulak one shift, with Emberson one shift, with Stetcher one shift. I've not seen that. But the advantage here is, and I think you nailed it, I think you're going to see a team that plays five defensemen a whole bunch, and the sixth guy gets about 8 or 9 minutes a night. That's what I think you'll see. And that means that guys are going to have to play with each other. And Coffey's really comfortable with it. I don't know how Walman's going to be with it. He's going to have to figure it out, I guess. But and your point about maybe finding a way to give Ekholm the odd rest, and maybe finding a way, maybe Bouchard's game, maybe we're not going to sit around and pray and hope and wait for Bouchard's game from last year to return. Maybe we're going to back off the minutes just a little bit in certain situations, and maybe that'll help his game come back. And Walman would probably be a guy that can help you do that.
Mark Spector joins us. Spec, what did you make of the game last night?
Well, entertaining as hell. I loved it. I was like a fan there, man. I love that game. I was so entertained. I thought Montreal was so much fun to watch. They're quick strike. They got fast, speedy guys that are always behind your defense looking for a breakaway pass. Tons of fun. And I will say, I thought from an Oilers standpoint, that game that Stu Skinner laid down last night was a sight for sore eyes, man. We haven't seen that game very often. He was not just good. He was very, very good. Tough chances he made the saves on and bought his team a win last night. So I was entertained, and the Oilers won, and I think they won a game, Jay. They haven't won a game like that for a while, where 2-2 after 2, it was gut check time in that third period, and Edmonton was the better team in the third period, and they got the better goaltending in the game, and that's how they get the 2 points.
It's only one game, Spec, but Connor Brown played 8 minutes and change last night. The new guy, Max Jones, came in, got an assist, had a really good back check on the play, just seemed to had some energy with newfound competition when Trent Frederick comes in here. There's some guys that, I think they've been given opportunities. Like we've talked a lot about, hey, Arvidsson's got to play better, no question. But there's some guys in the bottom six, Janmark, Brown, who've done really nothing. Like Janmark's breakaway attempt last night, that's right up there in Scott Ferguson territory. Like they've got some guys here, Spec, that People think they're just locks because they're on the penalty kill. Well, newsflash, Trent Frederick kills penalties, and he's going to kill penalties because he's a top 6 forward.
Yeah, newsflash, the PK is about 24th in the league, too.
Exactly.
So that if that's what's holding you in the lineup, then you got a pretty tenuous job. Stan Bowman said it today. They're carrying 23 guys. He said, we're at competition time now. Everyone's going to have to earn their spot in this lineup. I mean, I put quotation marks around everyone. But for sure, it's high time, right? That when you score 1 goal in 31 games like Connor Brown has, it's high time that you got to earn your spot in this lineup. And guess what? There might be a spot in the press box for you. I am absolutely fine with that. And it makes your team better. It makes your team better. So if that's the way it's going to be around here from here to the end of the stretch run, I am all for it, man.
Yeah. What do you think of Jones last night?
I liked him. He did. That's the good Max Jones, right? He was involved. He can really skate, hey? Like
he's big for a big guy. He can move. Yeah.
Boy, he reminds me. He skates like Ben Eager used to skate at the same size, and that's why both guys were first-round picks. Because you find a 6'3", 219-pound player that skates like that, you want him on your team quick. So we've talked about this before. I'll say it quickly. Everybody needs to see Max Jones do that for 10 games in a row. That's why Max Jones was in Providence this year, not in Boston, because he does that for 2 games in a row and then it stops. So if he can be that guy every night, he will play every night for this team. Bowman talked about how they got too many fours exactly the same as each other, and he's right. And Frederick and Jones are different. So if we talk about earning ice time, Jay, he'll earn his ice time by getting in the forecheck and drilling guys and staying active and throwing hits and keep those feet moving. If he does that, he'll play for this team every night. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's hey, they're going to have to be on their toes tomorrow night against Dallas, right? Dallas has been playing very well. They come in. I'm sure they'll be energized with the addition of Mikko Rantanen. We have it confirmed he's going to play tomorrow night. Jake Walman, I could see Jake Walman coming in and playing with Bouchard because Ekholm, I'm guessing, isn't going to play again tomorrow.
Well, now that you have Walman, I'm for sure giving Bouchard another night off. Absolutely, Jay. So yeah,
right? You
Sorry?
mean Ekholm? You mean Ekholm?
I'm giving Ekholm another night off. There was some question whether they'd give him a couple of games off. Listen, if however much time Ekholm needs, give him. Like, I want to say this. These trades are awesome, and I'll grade Bowman out at a solid B today for the work he did in the deadline. And I think you got to say, Jay, Edmonton did better work at this deadline than any of their Pacific Division foes here, right?
100%.
They had the best deadline of any team in the division, and that should be noted. But I also want to say this: unless their best 6 players, and I'm talking about Edmonton's first line and Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, McDavid, their top pair of Bouchard and Ekholm, and their top goalie is Skinner, Edmonton's top 6 guys. If those guys don't improve their game and play better down the stretch in the playoffs, we won't be talking about guys they added at the deadline when this thing ends.
Spec, have a good weekend. We enjoy the game tomorrow. Should be a fun one. We'll chat you then.
All right. Sounds good, Jay. Hey, wait a second. How's Noah doing? He's going to San Jose, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's, he's probably not overly, I had a brief text exchange with him. Like, you're on a team that's in the playoffs to a team that's out of the playoffs. It's not ideal, but I know he loves the head coach because he was assistant coach with him in San Jose. And, as a player still trying to find your way in the league, it's you just want opportunity. So hopefully.
Well, you do. I thought this too. The fact that they're bringing him back is usually a very good thing. When a team brings a guy back, they know that player, right? San Jose knows Noah Gregor, and they know him well. So oftentimes when you let a guy go, you let him go because there's stuff you don't like. When you bring him back, it's because there's a lot of stuff you do like. So maybe it's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, we'll see. They, you know what? It's a young team there. I'll say this: that Macklin Celebrini, I've watched Sharks games. Like,
he's awesome. He is awesome.
Like people, I've had a few scouts tell me they think he's going to be a better player than Connor Bedard, and they told me that at the start of the year, and I was like, "Are you?" And I'm like, "I've been watching him, and now his overall game is better. Bedard's a better shooter and stuff, but that Macklin Celebrini, man, he he reminds me a lot of Jonathan Toews and his fiery competitiveness, his attention to detail. So they obviously need lots more work. Like I still don't understand. Honestly, from a San Jose perspective, I don't understand why they traded Jake Walman. Like, I really don't.
I don't know. Like, they're tearing it down so far. Like
it can't go too far. Like him and CeCe were their top pair. So I get CeCe's a UFA, so you get rid of him. And so they get Walman. Maybe they're like, hey, we get Walman now, so we were going to get him next year, and you give a first rounder, okay. But it's not like they have a bunch of young defensemen that are being held back. That's the challenge. So, I'm curious to see what they do there. But
I am too.
The good news is, Spec, I have a San Jose Sharks jersey with Gregor 73 on it. So,
I still have that. Screw, did you ever buy an Ottawa one?
No. Actually, we were planning on going to Ottawa. Had flight planned, and we had the trip planned that we are going to go at the end of the month. But I said I'm waiting until the trade deadline because you never know when guys get traded. So I don't. But I even have a Leafs jersey, and trust me, I didn't want a Leafs jersey, but I supported them when we went to the games there. So,
a Leafs jersey. That is tough in your closet.
It is. Yeah, it's in the very back one, but it says his name. It's got his name on it. It's one of those keepsake things, right? So
I got you. Oh, hey, if my nephew was playing in the league, I'd have every jersey he ever worn for sure.
Exactly. And the thing was, I was actually excited to go get the Ottawa black jersey because I like that one. It's pretty sick. My son actually really wanted the Ottawa black one, so I haven't told him yet. He'll probably be quite annoyed.
Well, they play San Jose 3 times here.
Yes, they do. Yep. Yeah.
So you get a chance to see them.
No, that's true. So it's always a positive. Hey,
all right, thanks,
you're in the NHL. It could be worse things to be doing.
You got that right, buddy.
Yeah, it's very true. Have a good one, Spec.
All right, man.
There you go. That's a Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. When we return, we got lots more hockey talk to get to. Craig Button, who had a really good line last night. We might have to bring that up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. Delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Common thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, till the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a view from Legacy. Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Kids getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.427, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Anya Gretz with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having yourselves an awesome day. It's Positive Friday. I can say this. It was a positively exciting trade deadline leading up to it. There was lots of moves around the NHL. Some big names were moved. Jake Walman wasn't really talked about. Edmonton gets him. They get Frederick Rantanen goes to Dallas. Oh, my God. Dallas and Colorado could meet in the first round. How epic would that be? Brock Nelson is now in Colorado. Charlie Coyle is in Colorado. Lindgren's in Colorado. They loaded up one of those two teams. Look at the Jets. Now, the Jets loaded up the least amount getting Schenn, but I like that Luke Schenn deal. And I still say, to me, the worst trade of the week goes to Barry Trotz. You trade Schenn and Novak for Bunting? What? It's like they just threw in Luke Schenn and not even thinking, oh, okay, let's just get rid of this guy. And then Pittsburgh's like, thank you. Oh, here, we'll have him for a day. And then they get a second and a fourth from Winnipeg. Like, honestly, Barry Trotz is an unreal coach. His GMing right now has not looked good. Not looked good at all. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to their next destination. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. As we are joined by Stanley Cup winner with the Dallas Stars, of course, now ace analyst and scout for TSN, Craig Button, joins us. And Butts, we're getting a lot of texts about if you ever wanted to know what a 2-goal scorer looked like, now you do. Dude, I'm telling you, in the folklore history of the Oilers, the Scott Ferguson and Matthias Janmark might be 1-2 now on worst breakaway attempts I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, when you go back and look at it, I've watched it a few times now. Montembeault gets himself set. He's like, he's ready for some kind of move. And then he never got tricked because the puck came off the backboards real quick. And Montembeault's like, what the hell just happened there?
Well, I just didn't understand. I watched it again, and it was like Matthias thought there was an invisible defender on his left side, so he couldn't stick handle on his forehand. Like, I didn't understand it. I'm like, why is he on his backhand? And then who shoots a backhand from like 20 feet out? It was nuts.
Well, you know what it was? People don't realize, but it was the electric fence defenseman that was there. So Matthias goes, I don't want to get shocked by going to my forehand.
Yeah. Craig, there are some big moves here. I want to start out east, and then we'll work our way west. Florida, I think, still got the biggest improvement because they got Seth Jones, and that's going to be huge for them. But then they add Brad Marchand. They added Vanacek in goal. You had Tampa Bay. They go out and they bring in Yanni Gordon and Bjorkstrand. Then Toronto goes out and gets Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. Like, they're all adding up, and those teams, two of them are going to have to face each other in the first round, which is nuts. Of those three teams, which one do you like best now that you see the roster?
Well, let's put it this way: Toronto third. Although I like the fact that Carlo, gives that defense some real good size and some length and everything. But when you think about Seth Jones coming into a defense, it had Mikkola, had Ekblad, had Forsling. That's a really good top four. And Kulikov's a good solid number 5. He showed that last year. So and they're built. They're built to go deep. And we know that they've gone deep and won a Stanley Cup. So there's no question that they're Florida. But speak to the fire, I like what Tampa Bay did. I really feel Tampa Bay's been a good team this year, a really good team. And I thought that the front end, the blue line, I thought they needed a little more help on the on the back end of their forward group, and they know what Yanni Gord is. And Bjorkstrand's a good player, and I think that they have 3. I'll call it 9, 10 now good forwards that can allow you to go a little bit deeper into the playoffs. So I would say that I give Tampa Bay the little bit of the edge over Florida, and Toronto will prove their team. Make no mistake about it, but. I don't know. It's just something about. Here's what I feel. I don't think Toronto has enough bite. That's as simple as I can put it. Until they show me they have bite. Tampa Bay showed me they have bite.
Yeah.
Florida showed me they have bite. Toronto still hasn't shown me they have bite.
Yeah, that's fair. Carolina, to me, I said it. The team who won the trade deadline in the East was Washington, because New Jersey and Carolina got way worse. Jack Hughes is out, and Rantanen's gone in Carolina. And hey, I like Stan Coven, but he ain't Rantanen, and he's not even Netchus and Drury put together. So those two teams, that doesn't guarantee anything, but their path to the third round got a hell of a lot easier.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And when you think about the Atlantic and finishing first in that division, I think is just as critical as finishing first in the Central, because if in the Atlantic, if you don't finish first, that first round matchup between 2 and 3 is going to be a bear. I mean, whoever it is, whoever doesn't finish first, the other two teams are really good. So that's a grind. I mean, the Washington Capitals are not going to have a grind in the first round, and then they're going to be able to face going into the second round. They're not. I don't think they're going to have a grind in the second round. And then by the time they get to the third round, those other teams might be beat up pretty good, because I think Washington's going right to the final.
Yeah. Okay. Looking into the West, I guess, give me your thoughts on Carolina and kind of what transpired here over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'm glad you went back, because I wanted to talk about Carolina here. So it defies. I just don't understand what they were doing. I don't. So you make a move to improve your team, ostensibly to go deeper into the playoffs, and that was a trade for Rantanen. And then you come to a point, and we heard during the Four Nations face-off, they offered him $100 million, which is $12.5 million. $12.5 million a year. And they were, oh my God, he's not going to take that. Okay, so that's fine. So now you get to a point where you're like, well, we got to go make a trade. I think Jim Nill just robbed them blind. Like when you think about you traded Netchus, Drury, and for ostensibly Stan Coven, a couple first round draft picks. Those first round draft picks, if they're reasonable, are going to help you sometime in 2032 and 2034. That's when they're going to help you. I guess if you're planning for the future, Carolina did a really good job of it. But it feels like a botched exercise when you go and make such a big move to get Rantanen, and then you're left here going, oh, he's not going to sign with us, so we got to let him go. So what? If you want to go deep, go. And who knows? Maybe he goes deep, and you feel he wants to come back and sign. I don't know, but I just don't get it. I don't get it. And Logan Stankoven, who I really like, it's just another small forward going into Carolina. The Brian Murray, I'm going to give you the Brian Murray quote, which is one of my favorite of all time. He goes, there's a lot of good little players in the league, and you know what? It's always good to have good players, but if you have too many good little players, you're just going to be a good little team. And that's what the Carolina Hurricanes are. They're just a good little team.
Yeah.
They're not going to beat the big boys in the East.
No, totally agree with you. 100%. Yeah. We move out west. We talked a little bit about the Central. I go to the Pacific, Craig, and I kind of put Edmonton in a similar category as Washington. Edmonton improved their team. LA, I'm not sold on Kuzmenko that much, and Vegas didn't do anything. So I think Vancouver, Calgary didn't do much, and they're not really that competitive. So Edmonton, well, there's the big dogs in the Central. They don't face one of them until the third round if they all make it. And I actually like Edmonton's additions here. What do you think of what they did at the deadline?
Yeah, I'm disappointed somewhat in LA. Kuzmenko, come on, who are we kidding here? What's he going to go do there? I mean, Andre Kuzmenko is a player that knows how to play an individual style game. He doesn't know how to play with others. He doesn't know how to play in a team game. And I think the LA Kings are a good team. I really do. I think they're a really good team. I thought they needed goal scoring. They didn't get it. I think they're one of the teams that really fell short here. The Vegas Golden Knights are a good team. There's only so much. I guess I'm going to use a Dave Poulin line. He always uses the term bandwidth. There's only so much bandwidth you can have when you're trading first round picks and prospects year after year after year. That's still a good team. And they got the goaltending, they got the defense, they got balance scoring, and so you're right. Like you look at them, and did they add anything? Well, they added Riley Smith, and they know Riley, and that's a small addition. But this is still a good team. Now we'll get to Edmonton. Okay, getting Trent Frederick really, really helps in terms of your depth and hardness and everything that goes with it. I think Jake Walman is a good, solid defenseman. I thought that was a nice, astute move. I still think that they have some square pegs and round holes, and I'm not sure exactly where they go with it. I'm concerned about the Edmonton Oilers because I'm concerned about their scoring. Corey Perry is their fifth leading goal scorer. Corey Perry gives you everything he's got, but he's your fifth leading goal scorer.
Yep.
Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, and Hyman. So, I thought they needed more scoring. I think they need doing the game last night in Edmonton with Montreal. I think that Adam Henrique is a really nice, solid, more of a defensive centerman, and I'm not worried about him. But they don't have enough scoring. I think that, and Chris Knobloch talked about it earlier, Jason, this week after the end. He goes, if our top guys don't score, we're not getting scoring anywhere else. Yeah. I don't know how that changes. Now, listen, McDavid, Draisaitl, I mean, they're unbelievable. Draisaitl, considering who his wingers have been this year, couldn't he just give him the MVP right now? Honestly, 46 goals, 47 assists, and who he's playing with. I mean, they don't take any advantage of what Leon Draisaitl is capable of doing for them, and I don't think they give Leon Draisaitl very much.
No, well, Trent Frederick's got to be to me. It's not even a question. The minute he's healthy, he's playing on Draisaitl's left wing to start, isn't he?
Well, you would think get him some size, get him that bulk, right?
Yeah.
And get after it. But and Trent plays with some real good. Like we talk about bite. Trent's got bite, and Trent takes no prisoners, which is a nice thing for the Oilers to get. But I think now, obviously, they have the medical report on Kane. They got to feel that Kane's going to come back, and if he can come back and be up to speed, changes it somewhat. You're right about the pass. It just doesn't feel right now for me that this Edmonton Oilers team is they got to get their game. Can they show me that? Yeah, they can. Do I think they have a great coach? Yeah, I do. We talk about the great players, but they've been in a malaise here, and they got to get out of this and start showing that they can tighten up and be a good team. Even the game Thursday night, Stuart Skinner was brilliant. Stuart Skinner, I thought, was just unbelievable in that game. I don't think they win that game without Stuart Skinner's brilliance.
Craig, you're not allowed to say that in Edmonton because everything's the goalie's fault for some people. Okay, the goalies they never have a good game. I'm kidding.
Well, I know, but it feels like, I don't know if you remember this a bunch of years back. There's a lot of criticism of Patrice Brisebois in Montreal. And Bob Gainey came out and he just really defended Patrice hard. And I know they defend, like I know Chris has defended Stewart, and I heard Stan talk today about the effect. But I think at some point in time, whoever it may be, I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. Somebody's got to come and defend Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner, like again, okay, is Vasilevsky available? Is Bobrovsky available? Is Shesterkin available? Is Hellebuck available? Like, right? Like when you start to look at the number of goalies in the league, like, okay, so Stuart Skinner's been a good goalie in this league. And anyway, I think I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah, no, I said all along, people are like, upgrade the goaltender. I'm like, where? Who? Like, who are you upgrading? There wasn't an obvious upgrade to me that made sense. And like Stuart Skinner took you to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. Did he have a little hiccup against Vancouver? 100%. What did he do when he came back? He played 15 great games. And really, he had 2 bad games against Vancouver where he allowed 9 goals and 28 shots. Awful. In his other 21 games, he had a 2.14 goals against and a .916 save percentage. 2.14. Like, it's not a problem. You'll have some games where you allow 3 or 4, and there's lots of games, 11 of 15 of those final games, you allowed 2 or fewer goals. Like, that gives you a chance to win most nights. And that's, Stuart Skinner's not an elite goalie. He's not paid like an elite goalie. So people have Skinner's not good enough. He makes 2.6. Like, what do you expect from him? He's not supposed to be Vasilevsky or Hellebuck. And yeah, would I like him to reduce like the big dips? Yes, I think that's fair. But when he plays well, people seem to ignore that part.
They do, and to your point, the salary that Stuart Skinner gets, the performance that he delivers, gives the Edmonton Oilers opportunities to work with the salary cap in other ways, and that becomes significant, right? So, if you got a goaltender that's making $7 million there, well, that's going to limit you in other areas to strengthen your team. And I think that Stuart has shown that he can get on these real good runs and be really good, and. But it feels like the short little dips he gets, whether it be at the beginning of the season or like, it's almost like those are the ones that remain in everybody's mind.
Craig, look, and I agree with you. It would have been ideal. Like I would have liked to see them find a way to move Jeff Skinner. We will have Stan Bowman joining us at the top of the hour, so we'll ask about that specifically. And hey, you need a trade partner to do it, right? And you need a team that you have somebody that you want. So I understand all of it, but you look at now. Like Colorado and all the moves they've made, Charlie Coyle, Lindgren, Brock Nelson. Are they better than Dallas? Is Dallas better than Colorado? Winnipeg? Who do you like in the Central now?
Dallas, I do. I like Dallas. I mean, the goaltending. Heiskanen obviously has got to come back. I think one of the things we're forgetting, I shouldn't say we're forgetting, but it's been a little bit forgotten. Jim Nill went and acquired Cody Ceci and Granlund. Like, you bring in Michael Granlund, you bring in Cody Ceci, and now you add in Rantanen. Like, they're a high-scoring team. Heiskanen back. That team's really good. I think that team's really, really good. And, Thomas Harley, we all saw what he was able to do at the Four Nations. Esa Lindell's a good player. And so the vulnerability I see, or the greater vulnerability I see, is in Colorado's blue line. Taves and McCarr, we know how good they are, right? But after that, Josh Manson's been hurt. Like where's his level? I mean, they trade back today for Eric Johnson. Okay, I mean, he's a 6'7" defenseman, really probably a 7 defenseman at this point in time. You got Sam Girard. They trade for Ryan Lindgren. I love Ryan Lindgren. Ryan Lindgren's beat up, and he plays so hard. He doesn't know how to play any other way. I think the vulnerability for Colorado is that blue line. I really do, because if you start to have to use Taves and McCarr to a greater extent, playoffs are about who you can wear down. I think that could be something that an opponent can do.
Craig, great stuff as always, my man. I appreciate it. We will chat with you next Friday.
Thank you very much, Jason. Have a great night and weekend.
You betcha. That's Craig Button from TSN. Quick break. We'll come back. We got 5 questions. Stan Bowman's going to join us live after 5 o'clock on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen, an available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower. Plus, the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwood, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save on Foods.
Come on in. Nissan is proudly celebrating 60 years in Canada, where you can get the versatile Kicks Play for a great price that offers best-in-class fuel economy. It's a great time to press play. Right now, lease the 2025 Kicks Play for the equivalent of $60 weekly for 39 months. Offer includes $1,000 anniversary bonus cash. That's for $261 monthly with 2.95 down at 4.99%. Fuel economy based on highway and combined. Conditions apply. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sport 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
450. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you as we get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick and the Mattress Store. Some of you, you're waking up, sore neck. You're not sleeping well. You're rolling over. The fart sack just isn't that comfortable. We'll go to the Brick Store and their mattress store and get one that fits you perfectly at The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. What were your grades for Max Jones and Cam Dineen in their debuts last night for the Oilers?
I like Max Jones. I like his energy. I like his pass to Corey Perry. There was nothing there to not like. Cam Dineen I didn't think was as impactful, but there's nothing there to suggest he won't be an effective player. Gregor?
Yeah, you know what? Hey, Jones is kind of what I've seen him in the NHL before. He can skate and is a big man. And I said it before the game, Connor. I said, people are going to see Max Jones, but geez, I noticed him because they had so many forwards that you never noticed. That was the problem. So, yeah, I don't mind Max Jones for 10 minutes. Now, as Spec said, right, he has a reputation of doing it for a few games and then not doing it, right? Consistency is a hard thing to do. But if he shows up every game, he'll be in the lineup because they have a lot of guys who get in the lineup and do nothing every game.
Question number 2, when Jake Walman draws into the lineup, where do you have him slotted?
Well, tomorrow he'll play with Bouchard. I don't think it's Dineen comes out, he comes in, it's easy. Ekholm's not ready yet, so that's the easy one. Now, when Ekholm's back, it'll be, but like I said earlier, if they can maybe limit some of Ekholm's minutes at times here down the stretch, I don't see that being a big problem.
Gregor's pretty emphatic. I'm just going to agree, Connor.
Question number 3 then. Classic NHL deadline question. Who's your biggest winner and who's your biggest loser today? Could be team, could be individual.
I would say Dallas is the biggest winner with Florida coming in second.
Loser?
I don't know. Who's the biggest loser today?
Kings.
I'm going to say the Jets. They didn't get a second line center. They really needed it. They didn't get it. But that, just because they're so competitive and Dallas and Colorado really improved their teams. So, and they're going to have to face them. Right. I think, honestly, Washington's a big winner because just kind of by doing very little. I know they made the one move to get Beauvillier, but Carolina got way worse. Rantanen's gone. And New Jersey lost Hughes. Also, Dougie Hamilton's hurt. So they're just like, their path. Now, it doesn't mean that they got to take advantage of it, but their path got lots easier to get to the third round.
Question number 4. Based on the past couple of years, who would you say is the NHL's best general manager?
Julian Breezeball.
I respect the fact that they beat the Oilers. Zito's done.
Yeah, Zito's very close to me too, but
good picks. Final question for you guys. Tomorrow's National Retro Video Game. Ashley and I played a lot of Super Mario 3. So what would you guys say would be your top 3 retro video games of all time? And we'll say like PS2, Xbox, and earlier.
Considering I've never held a PlayStation or an Xbox controller in my hand, Gregor, that's a claim to fame.
Mm-hmm.
Tetris.
Okay.
Dragon Warrior and original like Super Mario. Unbelievable. Game changer.
Okay. Galaga, of course. I'm going to put in Crash Bandicoot. I love that game. But God, we had a lot of fun playing that. And I will go with the Super Mario Brothers, and I think it was the second one. Don't quote me on that one, because the original one I know, but I'm pretty sure it's the second one where the screen's a little bit more green at times. That's all I remember. And was it Yoshi or Yoshi? I don't even know his name, but he was in it. So whichever one that is.
Yoshi.
I
think it was the Super Nintendo one.
Yes.
Honorable mention in Mario Kart.
Good game.
In terms of like a social game to sit down and play.
Oh yeah. Well, Mario Kart's kind of like Crash Bandicoot.
Unreal. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very, very similar. Because I remember like guys would play because you could race each other. It was just like a competition on Friday nights. We'd meet at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. You play for a few hours and you go have beers. It was unreal.
Perfect pre-gaming activity.
Well, we were, it totally was. Cons, what about you?
For me, Super Mario 3. I love that game. Also go with GoldenEye for Super Nintendo or N64, and also going to roll with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Could still play those games. Love them. They should make a new GoldenEye for the older generation.
GoldenEye was one of those games where if you knew a couple places to hide on a couple of the maps and you faced a normal civilian in play, they couldn't compete.
No odd job. Can't be odd job.
Yeah.
Were you ever GoldenEye guy?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I was never I was not a huge video game guy. Like, you got to remember, like, now video games have evolved and improved a lot. But when I was a kid, like, we had a television, man. And I liked it, don't get me wrong. But we were on the farm. Like, I didn't play a ton of video games. I liked it when I got into it. And then probably the most video games I ever played, I think, was one summer when I was like 17 or 18. And my brother and I played like in television baseball. And we literally kept all the stats. And then we had to hand write them out because obviously nowadays everything's right on the, it's kept for you. But we had like a book and wrote it all out and played like a series of 100 games. It was hilarious. That, like, because in baseball you used to have like the old score and you draw the diamond, then you'd fill it out. We did all that. It was kind of made it a little bit more fun. So that was probably the most video games I ever played in my life.
Did you ever play like NHL 94 or any of those games when they were hot?
No, well, I have a stand-up arcade that I got as a gift, and it has all of those old games. And so my son's played it a little bit, and he kind of liked it. But now that he has PS5, obviously but his friends come over and they love it because there's some games they've never seen. And they're just like, what is this? And plus I can school them at it. So I kind of like it because I can't school them in any of the new games. But I bring them, I'm like, hey, we'll play Galaga or we play Donkey Kong or any of them. And they just can't. It's so funny, but it's so simple. But because I don't know what the game is, it takes them a while. Whereas I played it forever. So that's the only time. It's the only game. They're like, oh, let's play PS5. No, I'm busy now. You guys go play.
Did you ever play NHL, Connor? Any particular years?
Absolutely. What was the one that wasn't the Canucks goalie on the cover? Rangers?
Kirk McLean. Across?
Yeah.
94.
That was the first one I really got into.
You could make trades.
Yep.
Yeah. Super fun.
Super Nintendo would have been the system, I believe. Absolutely. We had a video store right by our house in the little strip mall in La Pearl. So I used to always go there and try to rent those games.
You'd rent 94?
Rent 94, and maybe a few years later was Road Rash was the other big game where you just ride on motorcycles and hit each other. Those are the big ones.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, the GM of the Edmonton Oilers, Stan Bowman, will join us after a Connor Halley Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month is now on at GMC. You can get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. See more at gmccanada.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
NHL trade deadline come and gone. Some of the big names are moving around. The Dallas Stars acquiring Mikko Rantanen and from the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for Logan St. Koven, 2 first-round picks and 2 third-rounders. You also have the Jets getting Luke Shen from the Penguins. Brandon Tanev also going to Winnipeg from Seattle. Brad Marchand being acquired by the Florida Panthers from the Boston Bruins for a conditional second-round pick. Bruins also sent Brandon Carlo, the return to be determined. On the ice tonight in the NHL, you got the Jets and Devils, Red Wings in Washington, Hawks hosting the Utah Hockey Club, Wild take on the Canucks, Vegas up against the Penguins, and the Blues are in Anaheim in the association. Toronto taking on the Utah Jazz. That gets going at 5:30. In town tonight, the Oil Kings will host the Kelowna Rockets down at Rogers Place. Puck drop at 7. Also at 7, out in Spruce Grove, the Saints will take on the Okotoks Oilers. And in the PWHL, a few minutes from puck drop, Minnesota taking on Ottawa. Trade today in the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders acquiring Geno Smith from the Seattle Seahawks for a third-round pick. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Stan Bowman, Edmonton Oilers General Manager, and Alan Mitchell, host of the Lowdown with Lowtide. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the what?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Edmonton's biggest St. Patty's Day party is at On the Rock.
Party at OTR March 14th to 17th as we celebrate St. Patty's Day the way it needs to be celebrated.
Look at the Irish! The Irish! 96 hours of green beer.
5,760 minutes of mayhem, including live entertainment.
Irish dancers.
And all the festive Irish food you can handle.
Celebrate St. Patrick's Day at On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Your Kiss Me, I'm Irish headquarters.
Only if you're into that sort of thing.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Your courtside seat awaits on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I host the basketball show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Don't miss it. I'll catch you this weekend.
People are always curious about what GS Construction does. They know it's something to do with construction because it's in our name. But our work at GS Construction isn't just about the projects we do. It's about people. This season, you'll see GS Construction improving underground infrastructure in the places we call home. So we're looking for crew members to work with motivated and friendly team members. Sound like you? If you want to join a team that cares about the community, your community, visit gsconstruction.ca and apply today.
Come on in. Nissan is proudly celebrating 60 years in Canada. Our best-selling Rogue is built for everyday adventure and features standard all-wheel drive and dual-zone automatic climate control. Lease the 2025 Rogue for 30 months or finance for 24 months at 0.99%. Plus, get $1,000 anniversary bonus cash. Offer available on S all-wheel drive model. Conditions apply. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
At Schwab Chevrolet Buick GMC, saving you money is no game. Just ask our boss.
That price isn't Schwabbing good enough.
Finding you a better deal is something he's really passionate about.
Dig the Schwab in right Schwabbing now.
It's Truck Month at Schwab with an added no-charge diesel. Save up to $15,000 on new 2025 Silverado and Sierra 1500 trucks. Applies to most models, including Denali's, Elevations, Trail Boss, RST half tons, and HD trucks. At Schwab Chevrolet Buick GMC in Leduc.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows. Locally manufactured and installed, Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:03. Welcome back. Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's Positive Friday. Hope you had a wonderful day. Depends which team you cheer for. You're probably really happy with what they did, maybe disappointed, or like, hey, let's see what happens. But there was lots of moves this week. The NHL trade deadline, of course, the Edmonton Oilers acquired 3 new players. We saw Max Jones last night, had a pretty good debut. Trent Frederick coming up in a few weeks. And Walman sounds like he'll make his Oilers debut tomorrow night against the Dallas Stars, who will unveil their new player, Mikko Rantanen. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Now, let's get to the oil report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Of course, right now, the March showroom deal is on. Great deals everywhere. You want to lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from only 1.99%, and you can save $3,500. Great vehicles, better service at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As we welcome to the show the general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, Stan Bowman, joins us. Stan, welcome back, my man. How you doing?
Doing really good. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm excellent. You know, Stan, you get back in the chair as a GM in the summertime. Obviously, it's super exciting, but I'm guessing like the weeks leading up to the trade deadline, or they get the juices flowing a little bit more as a GM. You're on the phone. You're trying to make deals. Some get close, some don't get close, and then you got to work them to the wire. How fun was it kind of being back in that environment here the last few months?
Without a doubt, this is what it's all about. This is the trade deadline and the draft /free agency is always the most active time for a general manager. And busy times during the season, but there's no question that this stretch that we just went through, culminating with today, is what it's all about. And you're right. There's a lot of stress and there's a lot going on, but having done it for a while now, I think you learn that this is a lot of fun as well. So staff did a great job. Certainly, shout out to them. Really put us in a good position, very prepared. We've been planning for this for a while, so really excited where things landed for us.
Stan, in your press conference today, you mentioned how you kind of, almost pestered Mike Greer. Hey, do you want to trade for Walman? Do you want to trade for Walman? And then I don't know if you finally broke him down or not, but you got the deal. What is it about Jake Walman that you guys were so intent that you needed to land him?
Well, I think it's kind of a combination of factors. First of all, usually the first pass through is analytically. You look at, what happens when he's on the ice. You look at his numbers, and that's kind of like the first filter. And then concurrent with that, you've got your scouts out in the field watching him play. And then, at some point you've got to bring that together and try to see, do the numbers line up with what our scouts think? And if so, let's continue to follow him. And early on in the year, we were getting positive analytic reports as well as, scouting reports on what he brings to the table. He's a big guy, so he's strong, very mobile for his size, and he's a very active player. Like, he's not one of these guys that kind of sits back and waits. He makes things happen. He's got really comfortable with the puck, so he can make plays coming off the offensive blue line, but he can really shoot it too.
Yeah.
He's got a big shot, but he makes plays and he can help us transition the puck. So he's got a great skill set, and I think that, he's a number one defenseman on their team, and he's used, and as such, he plays big minutes against top players, so he's had a chance to grow his game the last couple of years. And I think, hats off to him. He's really improved. And we like that combination. We think it's going to be a big addition to our team.
So when you look at Walman and you like everything about him, then you look and say, okay, well, how does he fit in on your team, right? You've got Ekholm, you got Nurse, you got Brett Kulak. Do you see Walman as a left guy? Is he going to kind of split left and right? Where do you envision him in the lineup?
Yeah, he can play both. I think we know Kulak can also play both sides. So I think that will, I guess, play itself out a little bit here when we get him in with the group and see which players he meshes best with. And I don't quite know that, but I think that's what the coaches are good at figuring out. Like in the short term here, Ekholm's out. So, it's good that we've got, we're not necessarily going to be as short as we would have been if we didn't have Walman. I think he can fill in nicely.
Yeah.
So I think we'll sort that out as we go. But I think the biggest thing is he can do a lot of different things. Like, he's not a one-dimensional player. I think he's able to help our team in a number of ways. So I think sometimes you don't really know till the games start, and you think he's going to fit really good on this pair, and then you get in there and you realize he complements other players better. So, but I think it's good. Our coaching staff has a lot to work with.
Yeah, that's very true. Stan Bowman joins us. Stan, you made it pretty clear. I know when we spoke back in November and December, you're like, we obviously add a new dimension to our team. And I think it was pretty obvious. I wrote an article earlier in the week about just, the physicality, and really there's not that much of it. And you bring in Jones. Obviously, you bring in Trent Frederick. Both of them. We saw Jones last night, bring some energy as a fourth line guy. Made a really nice pass in the goal. But, Trent Frederick will come in and he brings a lot of it. And even when Evander Kane gets healthy, all of a sudden, you could run out, 3 lines potentially with a guy who can change the momentum of the game without scoring a goal. And I think that's something your team has lacked.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment of our team. I think that's something I've been looking for and talking to our coaches and analyzing successful teams. One attribute would be to get some, positive momentum from things that happen which aren't scoring a goal, because of course when you score a goal, it brings your team life, and it gets the bench going, it gets the building going when you're at home. So I think that's great. The problem is, there's not a lot of goals in a typical game. I mean, whatever it is, you average 2 or 3 goals a game. So you want to try to have some other things that can get your team, going and get the energy from the building and energy on your bench. And I think a lot of that's going to be through, it doesn't have to be like massive hits every shift, but I think there has to be some element of that to really raise the level for your players. And we haven't had that. We're a different team, but I do like that element. So I think I'm encouraged by the fact that we've got those 2 players. And you're right, like eventually Evander's going to be back, and we don't know when, but we're when we keep going here, I think confident that he'll get on the ice and he'll be a factor. I mean, Evander's a very noticeable player along this description, as far as intensity, physicality, intimidation, energy. So it's something we have been lacking, and I'm excited to see what it looks like when we get all these guys in the lineup.
You're expecting Walman to play tomorrow night, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. So Stan, you look at your team, and you're not always going to fit everything you wanted. When I just look at the actions of a coach and guys in and out of the lineup, and Chris Knobloch talked about it, that it hasn't really fit maybe as well as everybody would have liked with Jeff Skinner. Did you make conversations with him? Was there ever a conversation to see if he would waive his no move clause? Did that ever get close to seeing him move out and replace him on the roster?
No, you're right. It hasn't really, blended in the way we expected. But I got to give Jeff credit for having a positive attitude in what could have been a challenging situation. Like, he's working his way through it. He's shown the ability to score when he is utilized and he gets his confidence going. So he's fought through that a few times when he's been out and comes back and he can find his game again. So, we're hopeful of that. Like, he's here, and he hasn't maybe found his role yet on this group, but it's almost like, I don't want to say a fresh start now, but we have some new players coming in, and we're trying to look ahead, not at what hasn't worked, but hopeful that he can find a way to be a contributor as well moving forward.
When were you close at all? Were you looking to find a top 6 guy to play with Leon Draisaitl? Was that ever a serious conversation within your group? And was there ever any teams you felt like realistically you were ever close to making a deal on?
We did have some other discussions which didn't come to completion, with involving forwards. So I think that, we certainly had a couple of objectives, which we've talked about already, which was the physicality side, the size, the intensity, and then the defense. So I think those were probably more of a priority.
Okay.
And you have to do things sort of in an order. I want to make sure that we address that. And then once that's finished, you look at how much money you have left, you look at which players are available. And we had some discussions. It just nothing else ever kind of came to be. And I think the other thing you have to be cognizant of is, because I've seen this, some of my teams in the past, when you bring in like 4 or 5 new players, sometimes that's too much to really change what has been a pretty solid team for a year. So I think that was something. It didn't stop us from making any trades, but it's something you wonder. Like, sometimes some strategic additions to an already good team is better than massive new influx of players, because there's not that much time to integrate new players. And we all, like you said, we also have Evander there who will be back at some point.
Right.
So so it's kind of like he's almost like a 4th new player because he hasn't played this year.
It's true.
So you got the 2 forwards, and then Evander would be a 3rd forward, and then you've got a defenseman. So I think we were talking, but just nothing else really seemed to come together that made sense.
Stan Bowman joins us. Stan, what about a fourth line right shot center? Did you feel it was a big need? And when you look at your roster now, what do you kind of envision as the fourth line center spot moving forward?
Yeah, we looked around. Obviously, we didn't complete a deal there. I'm not sure if it's how it's going to all shake out. When Frederick comes back, if we're probably going to use him in the middle, but we'll see. I think he's played a fair amount of third line center in Boston, and or is he going to play on the wing with the top six? I think those are the two spots that I think naturally Freddie can help us. But I think we got Henrique, who's clearly a center, and actually the guy who's just recently had that role is Kapanen's actually done a really nice job there. I mean, he's not a natural center, but I really like Cappy's game. Really going back to the road trip when the team was struggling, I think Cappy was in and out of the lineup a bit before that, but he's come back in and played center, and he's done a good job. I like his speed and his, he's got skill, but he's a straight aligned guy, and he's got a little physicality. At least lately, he's shown that, I think, desire to stay in the lineup, and I've been impressed with the way Kapanen's played. So he's not your, experienced centerman, but I think that line's been pretty good the last little bit here. He's played some with Bud Colson and Perry, and they've been pretty effective. So it's a bit of a different look for a fourth line. And those guys all kind of move around, but that's another option that we've thought about internally.
So as the GM, when you make these moves now, do you just hand the pieces over to Chris Knobuck and say, okay, now you can move them around? How much conversations, hey, if I'm going to acquire player B, where do you envision him playing? How does that conversation go? And do you kind of step out of the way now and let the coach do it? Or do you have a say a little bit with the coach? How does it work?
I would say it's sort of a combination there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a coaching decision. Like, I don't weigh in on that. Number one, that's not my strength. And number two, that's not my role. I give feedback, and I think sometimes it's good for coaches to hear what people see from up top. When the game's certainly much easier when you're up in the press box, things look a lot slower. But also, you can be too close to it when you're on the bench or when you're on the ice with the guys. So I like to provide my perspective, give him different thoughts. And we do talk to Chris ahead of time about players that we're targeting, and he's good about watching them and telling us what he thinks about their game and, how they could help us. So I'd say it's a pretty collaborative process, and I've enjoyed the ability to work with Chris and the coaches and, hear what they value as coaches and what we want, what attributes are valuable to play the way we want to play. And then once we do that, we kind of match that with players that are available and their skill set and those kind of things.
Stan Bowman, general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, joins us. Stan, it's been kind of an odd season. The first start was tough, although I looked at the history of teams who lose in the Stanley Cup final, and, being 500 is kind of expected through the first 10 games, actually. So I could see it being emotional. Then your team was like the best team in the NHL for 30 games. You went 22-7-1 and were playing very well. Penalty kill was really good, best in the NHL. Your goaltenders are good. And then you had a 2-0 lead in Detroit, lost it, and the next 11 games were pretty ugly for your team. It's been like either really good or kind of really bad and not in the middle. Obviously, you would like to get more consistency. As a GM, like, how can you help that? What's your sense in the conversations with your group why it's either being really good or kind of really bad?
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty fair take on the season. I don't disagree with that. I would say that with probably a few exceptions over the years, it's kind of typical for teams to go through sections of a season where they just don't have it. And sometimes it's attributable to injuries. That's not necessarily the case with our team. Other times it's getting away from what you were good at And when you're playing your game, you're controlling the play. I think the biggest thing I see with our team when we're not on top of it is we're not really dictating the pace or the flow of the game. We're maybe a little bit careless or not managing the puck that well. And when that happens, then you end up playing more defense than you should when you're not, when your breakouts aren't crisp or when your transition play in the neutral zone is careless or sloppy. Then you end up surrendering possession and giving up odd man chances. And maybe it's not a break, but it leads to a 40-second shift in your end and a D-zone face-off. So I think, a lot of that was somewhat self-inflicted. And I think that's something that we can clean up. And, coaches are hard at work. Some of that is tactical stuff that changes you can make and having better habits as a player. So I think that's probably more so when you're not on top of your game. That's why. That doesn't just go for the Oilers. I would say if you look around the league at teams that are good teams that are struggling, usually that's the case. Now, why is it? Why can't you play more consistent with your puck management? I mean, I think that's the age-old question. It's just, there's variability in performance amongst athletes, and they're not always precise with their play. But I think if we can get back to being a little bit more detail-oriented when we do it and we follow the way we want to play, we're very effective.
And that probably stems to your goaltenders too. We have Kevin Woodley on lots. Environment in front of a goalie impacts him. Obviously, you want your goalie to make some saves that maybe they shouldn't make every now and then, for sure. When your team was playing well, Skinner had a .920 save percentage for that stretch. Calvin Pickard was very solid. Stuart Skinner's, he's still fairly young overall when you think about it. He's experienced a lot in the playoffs, and when he's good, he's good. And unfortunately, when he has some bad times, it can be quite bad. As an organization, how can you help walk? I'm sure you've seen guys like that, they have good, and then they're probably their worst critic, and they're super hard on themselves. How do you try to find more consistency in your goaltenders' games?
Yeah, well, you just described it there. I think that's a fair assessment of his play and our goaltenders' play, which is, it kind of goes as our team goes. And when we put them in a tough spot, then we're asking a lot of them. I think we're looking for maybe more consistency, but, we talked about this before. We had the slow start, but then we had a long stretch where they were very consistent, and it sort of goes hand in hand with our team game. So we know that they can play at a very strong, high level for more than just a game or two. But it's the attention to detail, and it's not having any lapses. I would say that's a work in progress here this year. But thought last night was a good sign for Stu. I thought he was very solid, and he made some big saves. And we also did a pretty good job of managing the game, and we had some breakdowns, but it wasn't one of those games where we were really putting ourselves in a lot of bad spots.
Yeah, very true. One last one for you, Stan. As the GM, you say it was super fun. You're working on deals, but on a day like today, how close are you guys? Okay, this team made a treat. Is there ever a reactionary factor where you're just like, uh-oh, man, this guy loaded up, we got to load up? I know you probably don't want that to creep in, but is it hard not to have it creep in sometimes?
Yeah, it's natural. Of course, you look around and you see what other teams are doing, but I don't think that's ever been a big focus, because really at the end of the day, you have to play to your strength, which is your team is built a certain way with your impact players, and you have to find a way to maximize their skill sets. There's not one way to win in the NHL. So if another team is adding players, then to just either try to go copy that, if that's not really something that is going to mesh well with your group, then it might be wasted energy. So I think you have to respect your opponent, and you have to understand what they're good at. But ultimately, you've got to be the best version of yourself. And I think, we've got a lot of really good pieces and talented players on this team. And when we do things well, if we worry about ourselves and we're on top of our game, then we're going to be tough to beat. And, that's probably the biggest thing for us, is to focus on our own performance as a team and really get ourselves playing our best game. And then I think if that happens, even these other teams that may have added players, I think we're still going to be pretty competitive with all of them.
Well, Stan, thanks so much for joining us. You mentioned it's a busy time. Do you kick back tonight? Do you have like a wine? Do you have a cocktail of choice to have it with a steak dinner or something?
Yeah, I actually haven't even mapped that out. I've been doing some media here, but I am pretty tired. I think I'll have a low-key night tonight, and then we got the game tomorrow, and then we go on a road trip. So it's been a lot of travel for the guys. We did have that break, but I was off doing scouting that whole break. So I need to get a little break here myself. It's been a long stretch.
Well, get a good sleep. Enjoy the game and the road trip. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck down the stretch.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
There you go. That's Stan Bowman, GM of the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get your thoughts. We got a lot of text flying in. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. That Low Tide, one day and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Oodle Noodle origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Hey, I know you're new here, but we carry multiple brands.
Okay. Hi there, this is Riverside Motorsports, Yamaha, Suzuki, KTM, Polaris, Gas, Husqvarna, Tittersled, Stasic, Talaria, Climb, Floor, Alpine Stars, 509, Troy Lee Designs, and more. Sales, how can I help you?
Located on St. Albert Trail, rideriverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love, better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's AquaCentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta. DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Come on in. Nissan is proudly celebrating 60 years in Canada. Our best-selling Rogue is built for everyday adventure and features standard all-wheel drive and dual-zone automatic climate control. Lease the 2025 Rogue for 30 months or finance for 24 months at 0.99%. Plus, get $1,000 anniversary bonus cash. Offer available on S all-wheel drive model. Conditions apply. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
To the next hockey game, you can have your say with the Sports 1440 postgame show. This is your host, Andrew Walker. Join us and give your takes on the game, good or bad. It's all brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery in St. Albert. The postgame show on Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X as it's time to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, as they got the independent division in action with full-time management, estimating the dispatch team, and the technicians are fully trained, and they got the new big bucket truck, baby. Height of 45. Who doesn't want that? Just come in, fix you anywhere you need at actionelectrical.net as Alan Mitchell, host of The Lowdown, noon to 2 on Sports 1440. Joins us. LT, how you doing?
I'm very well. Very well. It was a good day today. I enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you heard Stan Bowman, but if you did, what were your thoughts from our interview here moments ago? What stood out for you?
Well, I think that overwhelmingly, and I think Ken Holland was also somebody you could give credit for that, is that there's a plan here. This isn't, I know that I'm reading online and people are upset that there could have been other moves and they're not mad about a goalie, but they went in with a plan, and I think they solved some issues, and they also, there's some room for players to grow here. If not now, then, in the fall. So I think they did well. And I think that his comments reflected that they had a plan and they executed it. And mostly that they acquired players who are appropriate or could cover the needs that are on the roster. They're going to come in, and Jones already has, but they're going to play the role, and they are going to be able to do what's being asked of them. And in some years for the Oilers, that has not always been the case. So I think his comments are fair, and I think that the Oilers fans should be very happy with a deadline that addressed some really key needs.
LT, do you think they've done enough? Right, like we can be happy, we can be suspicious, perhaps, but do you think the Oilers have done enough to improve upon their shortcomings? They're sitting in 5th in the West. Winnipeg looks a long way off. Do you think they've closed the gap?
I think that they did as much as they could. Gregor was when we were on earlier, we were talking about goaltending. I said, what? And he said, well, who's out there? And I think that it's easy to say in the abstract or in isolation, why didn't they address goaltending? But who's better? Stuart Skinner played well last night. He's had, an inconsistent season, but so has the team in front of him. And, they made some moves to address the defensive side and the forward group. They need the players who are on the roster to play better, not just the goaltending. And, I know that people were like hoping that Binnington was going to come or Gibson were going to come. But I think from a management point of view, you're looking at bringing in a goaltender who's signed for next year or the year after at significant money, even if there's retention. And now, if you want to change the goaltending, you go to the summer and you have a bigger pool, and you'll have a better idea about how Stuart Skinner. I'm still on Team Skinner because he's $2.6 million this year and next. That is a huge value, and he got them to Game 7 a year ago. I'm still in the group that believes they should run with that, and I'm sure that the Oilers have the same discussion. So I would say there's nobody out there that I can say, man, they didn't go get this goaltender. I don't know why. And so I would say, yeah, they did enough. Sometimes it's not there for you, right?
Well, yeah, you're not going to get every player you want. I did find it interesting. When I asked him about Frederick, it sounds like their first plan is to play him down the middle. So there's your right shot center. So that's
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting to me. So it's either going to play center or he's going to play in the top six on the wing. But it sounded like the first try might be down the middle, which means maybe we're going to see Adam Henrique on the wing, possibly.
Aha! There you go. That's good. I my dream is to see, because I have a running theory that I keep telling people, and nobody's catching on or adopting it, which is, it's par for the course when I make suggestions. But I remember when Patrick Maroon came here, and he was a big guy who did the very simple things, but he could win battles, and he was physical. Now, Frederick isn't the same exact kind of player, but he does have skill. He has more skill than his numbers this year suggest. The Bruins, I watched them all year. They're just not a very good 5-on-5 scoring team or outscoring team, and that's a fact. But I feel like Frederick, given an opportunity with Draisaitl or McDavid, I think he could do a lot more. Now, they do have a need at center, and what I'm hearing is that maybe Philp isn't it, and they didn't see anybody they could use via the trade. So we'll see what happens there. But I'd like to see Henrique on the McDavid line. We talked about that today, but I haven't given up the hope that the new acquisition gets a chance there too.
Al Mitchell joins us. Al, Jake Walman will come in tomorrow. He's going to play with Bouchard because Ekholm's still not ready. Honestly, with Walman coming in now, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I'm going to hey, Ekholm, you need a week off, take a week off, right? Like there's, like Jake Walman's pretty good guy. It's now people say, well, do the same for McDavid. The problem is for McDavid, then it's like, well, who we fill in for McDavid, right? It's a much.
Well, and also, the Ekholm's 34.
Yeah.
McDavid's 28. So, and McDavid, when's the last time he said, "Oh, I'd like to take a rest"? Who's going to tell him he's going to take the day off? And we talked about this. You and I talked about this a couple weeks ago about, maybe McDavid plays a little less. And there are going to be games this year where they're up like 4 in the first period, so there'll be opportunities to do it. But I like your idea of giving Ekholm. Make sure he's 100% before he comes back.
Yeah, like McDavid's different because he's like the ultimate thoroughbred. He he plays better when he plays more. Like the guy, I've talked to Connor many times about this one. Oh, he's like, I feel I'm better when I get in a rhythm, and he felt like he hasn't really been in a rhythm. Now it's not because of lack of playing, but he feels he's got to play his way out of be in a bad rhythm to get into rhythm, if that makes any sense. And, he's just, he's an effortless skater. He's a different player. Ekholm, as you mentioned, is quite a bit older. And like when you have a virus or whatever he's been battling and it just wears you down, to me, it makes way more sense, A, to get him healthy, and B, not to have him around the team so he spreads it to everybody else.
Yeah, it's, we've all had some form of virus in the last few years, and rest is when, you give your body a chance to recover. And, these are athletes, so we're talking at a much higher level. Still in all, it's the same thing. You at some level, he has something that's hindering him, either physical or a combination of that and a virus. It has to run its course. It has to find its way through his body, and rest helps. So it's a no-brainer. And as you say, you don't want anybody else sick from this because, I don't know whether he had it at the Four Nations or got it at the Four Nations or before the Four Nations, but let's let it die here and with him, and that's, it doesn't go to anybody else.
Yeah. Looking at last night's game, you mentioned Skinner played well. Jones, like I really think now there's some other guys here that have been gone. Like we're at 60 games here. And I think, like, I saw Connor Brown play 8 minutes last night. Matthias Janmark, like, the breakaway kind of was an exclamation point on how bad his season has been offensively as far as a goal scorer goes for him. I think he has 1 goal with a goalie in the net this season in 60-some games. And you saw like the guy had no confidence on a breakaway from his own blue line. Hell, he wouldn't even put the puck in his forehand, for goodness sakes. I think there's some guys here as Frederick comes back in that we're going to see more. We even heard the manager said, hey, man, I've really liked Kapanen. So I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. So like Janmark and Brown, who always seem to get by on, well, they're penalty killers. When Frederick comes in, he's a penalty killer. So I think that excuse is out the window.
Yeah, and it's like, there are so many. It seems as though it's like feast or famine on this team. Corey Perry has 14 goals, and he plays depth minutes, but he's sure taken advantage of it. I know that they're trying hard and they're really good players and all of those things, and they're in a slump, and nobody expected Hyman to score as many goals this year as he did. But Nuge is in a year-long funk. He's in a funk, and offensively, if you're playing with Connor McDavid and you're scoring 1.14 points per 60 at 5-on-5, that needs to be addressed. It's the coach owes it to his team to find somebody who can be more productive. And I love Nuge. It makes me feel terrible saying that, but he's had like this. We're 62 games into the year, and at this point, there's enough players out there and fresh looks. Maybe it's time to have a couple of weeks and give a real chance to somebody else.
LT, have yourself a great weekend. Quickly, what did you think of I don't know if you know, but Geno Smith got traded today to the Raiders Geno Smith to the Raiders for a 3rd-round pick. What do you make of that deal for Seattle? Looks like Seattle's kind of going into retool, into rebuild mode and saying, hey, like Geno Smith, they're probably going to walk away from him next year anyway. So they said, hey, let's get something for him and move on.
The one thing that and I'm not smart enough about football to have any kind of learned opinion about it, but I do know with quarterbacks, sometimes they go to a new town and they're just like born again. They just have a new outlook on life. I remember when Plunkett went to the Raiders and it just worked. It just hit. So, I mean, from the point of view of bringing in a guy, maybe they feel like they fit the system and maybe it's going to work. The Raiders are an interesting team. Seattle I just feel like Seattle's lost their way a little bit. They're not as interesting as they used to be. I know that's death in sports, but I just feel like they're trying everything and nothing's working, and maybe they need a new vision. But who knows? I mean, the Raiders are. I think they're more interesting than the Seahawks right now.
Well, there's definitely more drama around. They just signed their defensive player, Mad Max, to like the biggest defensive contract ever. Their owners trying to avoid their part owners trying to avoid getting tampering charges. So yeah, the Raiders are they're all over it right now, Al. They're all over it.
Well, all I know is the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions.
There you go, Al. There you go. Exactly. Hey, you got a year to say that, Al. You should say it all the time.
Oh, doctor. I'm loving every minute of it.
All right. Okay, buddy. Have yourself a good weekend. That's Alan Mitchell, a.k.a. Low Tide. We'll come back. We got Wanye's World and more. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanye Gratz got a busy, positive Friday on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's an old saying that goes, many hands make light work. We believe that at GS Construction. So what does it mean? It means a task is easier to complete when many people work together. It also means that GS Construction is preparing for the start of the 2025 season and is hiring. Currently, we're on the lookout for top men and pipe layers. So if you're one of those skilled pros who know how to do your job safely and efficiently, we're interested. Come join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we build and maintain. Visit gsconstruction.ca today.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Edmonton sports fans stay informed with Sports 1440. Stream us. Listen to us on the AM dial. However you consume this radio station, thanks for listening.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Edmonton's biggest St. Patty's Day party is at On the Rock.
Party at OTR March 14th to 17th as we celebrate St. Patty's Day the way it needs to be celebrated.
The luck of the Irish for the Irish. That's 96 hours of green beer.
5,760 minutes of mayhem, including live entertainment.
Irish dancers.
And all the festive Irish food you can handle.
Celebrate St. Patrick's Day at On the Rocks. On the Rocks.
Your Kiss Me, I'm Irish headquarters.
Only if you're into that sort of thing.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
When you wash, get the Works. The Works Car and Truck Wash is now open in Wetaskiwin. With 8 self-serve bays, you'll never have to wait in line. This isn't your typical gas station car wash. Choose from soft touch or touchless automatic washes. Plus, big trucks are welcome in the oversized highway truck bay. Use code SPORTS1440 when you purchase a wash card, and you'll receive a 15% bonus. Cannot be combined with other offers or promotions. When you wash, get the Works. Visit theworkswash.ca or follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
The place for all the sports action you can handle. The Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton. With big screens everywhere you turn. There's never a bad seat in the house. Plus food and drink features with something for everyone. Small bites to big bites. It's a top shelf menu of all your favorites. So bring your friends and catch the Oilers watch parties throughout March. Plus tons of other sports, so you're always entertained. Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers. Secure your spot inside Rogers Place for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers full or half season seat holder for 2025-2026. Visit EdmontonOilers.com/season seats to join the pre-list sale today.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:48. Earlier I said Frederick shoots right. Obviously that was wrong. Shoots left. Idiot. Let's get to Wanye's World, brought to you by Ewell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear, go to EWEL.ca.
It was interesting hearing you talk to Stan Bowman and him saying that there were some things he was working on that didn't get across the line. I'm interested, like, the different approaches GMs take on a day like today. Like, are you putting out feelers like crazy depending on the situation that you're in? Or do you not want to be the GM that's out there proposing a bunch of different deals? Like, every GM is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, would he have had 10 trades on the table that didn't go through? Or, like, what's the volume, you think, of a guy like Stan Bowman?
Well, I don't think there's that many. I think because you would look and say, well, how many fourth line right shot centers are there that were available that you liked, right? You know, at the cap hit. And there's probably 3, I would think. And, you know, they have a list of defensemen. Once they got Jake Walman, they were like, well, we don't need another defenseman, right? So now you look and, well, could we find a potential scoring winger? You know, what's it going to cost? So I know that, having talked to Ken Holland about it a few times, and even Stan, a lot of it are conversations that you have kind of ongoing. You kind of get a sense of what does this guy think about his team? What does he think about players? Like, he heard it, like he had to, you know, he called Mike Greer numerous times. They really wanted Jake Walman. So, you know what? Sometimes you got to be a little bit more assertive. And how did Ken Holland describe it once? It goes, there's a fine line between aggressive and annoying. And it's true. Like you have to find, so some days as a GM, picks up, Ken, are you serious? You're calling me again? But sometimes you got to do it. And maybe you wear them down a little bit. And the guy's like, all right, okay. And what is the cost? Cause I look at, I don't know, because I'm sure you know what you're willing to pay at the end of the day, right? Like you never put in your first offer of this is what it is usually, right? Like if I'm going for a trade, I don't like, even in fantasy football, you have somebody who offers you like, for a 7th rounder, and you're just like, don't waste my time, right? Like I was thinking a 2nd or a 1st. Like, don't offer me a 7th. Like, it's embarrassing. I'm just like, I don't even respond to that stuff anymore. So I even talked to GMs and he goes, you get to know certain guys, and it's like anything in life, everybody has a bias, and some people are going to be easier to deal with than others, right? Some people feel like they have to win every trade.
People who play like Madden or 2K5 or whatever, they think it's like in a video game, though, I think, where you propose the trade and you ask the all-knowing orb of the game, and then it's either approved or declined, right? How much of making a trade do you think is like salesmanship and like those relationships with other GMs?
A little bit. I think well, there's experience factor too. That's the other one, right? Like you're a GM who's had almost every conversation. Now a new team has a rookie GM. Like, are you kidding me? Like you probably remember how the guys schooled you a little bit, right? Because as he said, he goes like, every GM likes to tell you they're doing you a favor, but they're bloodthirsty. They're trying to get your players, right? So there is an experience factor. I think you see it in certain trades sometimes. Like I look at Barry Trotz. I think Barry Trotz is too emotional as a general manager. He was a coach, and one of his best attributes as a coach was he's emotional. But I think as a GM, you can't be emotional. So, because I just look at the trade he made this week, it was so bad for Nashville. He traded Tommy Novak, who's younger, who's just as productive as Bunting. They could have been straight up head-to-head a fair trade. But then they threw in Luke Shen. And I'm kind of like, what? And then Pittsburgh turns around, and because Frank was like, I thought that was the most pointless trade ever. And I'm like, well, I think Pittsburgh makes that trade, Frank, because they can turn around. You're going to deal Luke Shen and get some assets. And guess what? They got a 2nd and a 4th. So you got rid of Bunting, you got Novak, and a 2nd and a 4th. Like, that's an unbelievable trade for Pittsburgh, and it's a terrible trade for Nashville.
Who do you think are the best GMs, like maybe of the last like 10 years in terms of like craftsmanship and like strategy and that? Like, who do you look to?
Well, I know he doesn't get a lot of credit. Look at what Ken Holland did in Edmonton. He inherited a team that made the playoffs once in 13 years. One time. He had no cap space. And then in the first year and a half of his tenure, he loses his top 2 defensemen, one for a career and an injury, so he can't replace. And then the other one, because his father dies unexpectedly. And now you got to replace, and he just walks away. Like, what do you do? So I thought Holland was good. I've really liked Jim Nill's work in Dallas. Julian Breezemont in Tampa Bay. Bill Zito going back to when he started making those deals for Bennett and then got Kachuk. Like, look at the trades he's made, man, in Florida. Like, he takes some big swings, and it works. And so you need that. So I would probably go with those guys for sure. Wanye, Connor, Declan, great work today, fellas. And thanks everybody for listening. We had some record numbers. You see it online. It's great. People listening in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Enjoy the game tomorrow. We got pregame show, Oilers and the Stars tomorrow at 7. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring right now HVAC installers and plumbers. They got RSP matching, tuition reimbursement, very competitive wages, and even a hiring bonus for the right candidate. Apply today at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The NHL's trade deadline has come and gone. Big news today. Mikko Rantanen going to the Dallas Stars for 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Logan Stankoven. Some other big names on the move. The Boston Bruins selling Brad Marchand to the Panthers and Brandon Carlo to the Toronto Maple Leafs. On the ice tonight after 20 minutes. You got the Jets on top of the Devils 1-0, and just wrapping up the first period in Washington. Red Wings lead the Caps 2-1. Later this evening, the Hawks hosting the Hockey Club. Wild take on the Canucks. Penguins in Vegas, and the Ducks taking on the Blues in the association. The Raptors up on the Jazz 15-8. Midway through the first quarter. In Charlotte, the Cavs lead the Hornets 41-38. Later on tonight, Timberwolves take on the Heat. Thunder host the Blazers. Suns in Denver. Kings up against the Spurs. And the Knicks take on the Clippers. The Edmonton Oil Kings back in action this evening. Taking on the Kelowna Rockets. Puck drop 7 o'clock down at Rogers Place. Over in Spruce Grove, the Saints will take on Okotoks. That'll get going at 7 o'clock at Grant Fuhr Arena. And in the PWHL, after 20 minutes, Minnesota leads Ottawa 2-1. 3-0. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. Live local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. It is the Saturday Sports Setup, followed by the Basketball Show with Paul Sir. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440.